Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Thanks for joining our news conversation this afternoon. I hope you're doing well. We have many stories to get to, so let's go ahead and talk about them. So we are expecting a press conference to be held here in the Sandy Springs area. Sandy Springs police will give an update on a deadly shooting that happened last night. They say a homicide investigation is underway. So here's what we know about the shooting, and hopefully we can show you some video of that. That fatal shooting, again, happening last night in the Sandy Springs area near several apartment complexes. It happened around 8:20 p.m. at the Hudson Northridge Apartments located on Northridge Parkway. And according to Sandy Springs police, officers found a person who had been shot, and medics pronounced that person dead at the scene. So the circumstances surrounding the shooting is unclear at this time. We do expect police to give an update and more information on the events leading up to the shooting in just a few minutes here. Police have not yet released the name of the victim, so hopefully we can get that during that press conference. And it is currently unclear what led to gunfire. Police are asking if you have any information on this shooting. Again, it happened on Northridge Parkway. Then please give police that information. And it sounds like that press conference is getting started, so we're going to go ahead and take that live for you.
Similar to theirs, or is anybody can you borrow one? Tape it. It's going to be right in the middle of my... I may move it back, but I don't want it to fall down. Or
yeah, that's what we're going to get some tape.
I was about to say, if we can see.
Now give me a few more minutes if you want.
Oh, yeah, let me see. Mike can drop it down so.
We'll bring that back up when it happens. Again, this shooting happened last night on Northridge Parkway in the Sandy Springs area. One person shot to death, according to Sandy Springs police. Let's move forward and talk about what Fox 5 News is working on today. We're going to bring in our Fox 5 assignment manager, Tanya Mendoza. She's look at those stories. And Tanya, it's good to see you. And guys, we're going to get back to Tanya. Can't hear her, so we'll talk to her a little bit later to get into more details on what Fox 5 News is working on. It sounds like we might have her audio. I can't hear you, Tanya. Can you
hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay.
Okay.
So,
sorry, rough day here. All right.
Okay.
So here's what's going on. We have Angelique Proctor over at the Fulton County Commission. The meeting today, the board is discussing the $1.3 billion proposal to update the Fulton County Jail. And let's break down those numbers for you real quick. The Fulton Jail renovations under this new plan, it would be $734 million for a special purpose facility. Rice Street renovations, $489 million, and accelerated housing, $140 million. Our Sam Daniels, and he's right behind me, he worked really hard on putting together a story on our website where you can go and look at everything there, the breakdown on why this price tag has gone up. Basically, the cost increase is driven by complex cell designs, market rates, and a decision to move support services inside the new facility. So that's big news. They have to approve all of that still, but they're discussing it right now, and we have that. It sounds like you're going to the press conference over in Sandy Springs, so I'm going to let you go.
All right, sounds good, Tanya. Let's go ahead and bring that press conference out of Sandy Springs live and take a listen.
With multiple gunshot wounds. Sadly, he was pronounced deceased at the scene. At this point in the investigation, we believe there was a confrontation between two suspects and the victim, which led to the shooting. Our detectives were able to identify 26-year-old Derek Washington and his brother, 20-year-old Mason Washington, as our suspects. Mr. Derek Washington was taken into custody yesterday in his apartment during the execution of a search warrant. Mason Washington remains outstanding. We're currently looking for him. They both face the same charges: felony murder, malice murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during commission of a felony. We want to thank the property management at 550 Northridge Parkway and the citizens that were temporarily displaced from the residents during the course of this investigation for their cooperation and understanding. Finally, our thoughts are with Justin Tucker's family and everybody affected by this tragedy. This time I'd like to take questions.
Motives, what led to this?
This time in the investigation, we're not able to release that because it's still an ongoing investigation, but there was a confrontation between the suspects and the victim.
Did it have anything to do with illegal drugs or drug sales?
At this time, it's already on in the investigation.
How valuable were the witness statements to help you guys in this investigation?
They were very valuable.
How?
It substantiated the evidence.
This confrontation happened inside of the apartment or outside?
Outside in the parking lot.
Any idea what started this?
No, it's still early on in the investigation, so our detectives are determine what exactly led to that confrontation.
What role did cell phone video play in this? Did it record the incident?
There are some videos. Those are still being reviewed.
Can you share where Derek Washington was arrested?
Where?
Where?
And how?
In his apartment, during the execution of a search warrant. So it has residence.
Was his apartment in the city of Sandy Springs?
Yes.
Does Mason Washington live in that apartment with him?
Yes.
So did the victim and suspects all live at the complex?
Yes.
Were they known to each other prior to this incident?
Yes.
What did Mr. Washington tell you guys when you interviewed?
We're not liberty to release that information yet because it's still an ongoing
Did
investigation.
he say this was self-defense?
We are not liberty to discuss that yet.
Do the suspects have any prior criminal records?
At this time, I'm not aware of that information, but once I come aware, I'll update you.
Did both of the brothers shoot at the victim?
It's still early on in the investigation, so I haven't determined those facts yet.
Can you tell us where the victim was shot?
He received multiple gunshot wounds, and the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office will be able to give us more information on that.
What other law enforcement agencies were present at the scene? It was reported that some other departments were there.
It was Sandy Springs Police and then the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office.
So there was no SWAT there, was it?
No, there was no SWAT.
There was no SWAT. Can you walk us through how you got Mr. Washington into custody?
Well, it's through, we follow the evidence. Follow the evidence, witness statements.
Follow the evidence.
We were able to secure warrants for his arrest.
And he was at his home when you found him?
Yes, ma'am.
We heard from some neighbors who said that one of the suspects knocked on their door. Can you say what that's about?
I'm not aware of that information.
Was there an Uber driver involved?
We believe the Mr. Mason Washington did leave the scene in an Uber, but we are working to confirm that information.
What efforts are underway to get him into custody?
So our officers are diligently working to get him into custody. He does have active warrants for felony murder, matters murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm and commission of a felony.
I understand Mr. Washington has an extensive criminal history. What do you know about that?
At this time, I have not reviewed his criminal history. I cannot confirm or deny his medical history.
Now, were there other people outside when the shooting took place, like neighbors or?
There were some neighbors that came out to the commotion, but I'm not aware of exactly who saw.
How disruptive was this incident to that community?
It definitely disrupted the normal day-to-day operations of the residents that live there because most of them were, or a lot of them were, kept from going to the residence for some time. However, as soon as we were able to open back the apartment complex, we did.
What do you attribute the fact that you made a quick? This happened around 8:30 last night. I guess you got Mr. Washington into custody fairly soon.
Yes.
What do you attribute that quick arrest to?
Our investigative efforts and the witnesses that came forward to help us.
The witnesses were valuable.
Yes,
In
sir.
what way?
They corroborated the evidence that we found on scene.
So people saw what happened.
There were some people that witnessed the incident.
Sergeant, is it rare for you guys to deal with a murder case where it is two brothers that are the suspects?
Yes, it's rare. Obviously not uncommon, but it's rare.
This is the third shooting in the past 6 to 9 months in northern Sandy Springs. Is there any kind of trend y'all are seeing in the northern part of the city?
No, these incidents are isolated, and we want the community to know that we work hard to make sure that they are safe and to hold those accountable, hold those responsible accountable. Got time for one more question?
Any idea of where that suspect could be, the one who was looking for?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Can you sit there for about 10 seconds?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
right, guys, you just listened to the Sandy Springs Police Department. They are speaking, giving an update on the shooting that happened last night on Northridge Parkway outside of the apartment complex. You just heard the officer there saying that the shooting did disrupt the residents in that neighborhood, and witnesses corroborated evidence that police found on the scene. They also said that they will be reviewing cell phone video that actually recorded this incident as well. And he confirmed that no SWAT team responded. There were reports that other agencies, like the SWAT team, responded to the shooting, but that didn't happen as well. One big update here, we do know the name of that suspect. It is Derek Washington. So he is facing charges here and was arrested for this deadly shooting. Still don't have information on the victim's identity, but we do know that one person did die in that shooting outside the apartment complex. That is Hudson Northridge Apartments. This happening last night around 8:20 p.m. We'll continue to update you on this story as we learn more. Let's get back out to Tanya Mendoza, our Fox 5 assignment manager. Tanya, we were talking about what Fox 5 is working on today. And we mentioned that Board of Commissioners meeting. So talk a little bit about that first before we move on to the next one.
Okay, so real quick, the Board of Commissioners in Fulton County, they are meeting. They're discussing a proposal for the renovations to the jail. I mentioned a $734 million special purpose facility, the Rice Street renovation for $489 million, and $140 million for accelerated housing. Now, what all that means, how many beds, all that, that's what Angelique Proctor is going to break down for us later. But if you want to go ahead and look at the plans, it's on our website. You can just go ahead and click on fox5atlanta.com and look for Fulton Jail renovations, and you can see a breakdown of what they're doing there. So it's a big deal over at the Fulton County Commission. It's a lot of money, $1.3 billion that they have to approve. On the timeline, completion is, say, if all of this goes through, it will be 2031, after which the existing Rice Street facility will be renovated. So that's what's going on there. Angelique Proctor's at the meeting right now. I want to jump, if you don't mind, Jasmine, from the Fulton County Jail over to the Paulding County Jail, because we got a press release and a tip earlier that this was going to be taking place in Paulding County from our reporter Kevin Stewart, where the sheriff, Ashley Henson, has approved 62 contactless vital sound sensors to monitor inmate heart rate and breathing in real time. So that's pretty interesting. The system aims to prevent tragedies by providing proactive overdose detection and instant alerts if an inmate stops moving. So this may be going on at other facilities. I haven't heard of it, but that's pretty interesting, and that's what's going on over there. This effort was led by Captain Keith Thomas, and guess what? It was funded entirely by opioid settlement funds. The project comes at no cost to local taxpayers. So that's a pretty interesting story, and that's what Kevin Stewart's working on today.
Yes, a very interesting story, and looking forward to seeing Kevin's report on this, and also seeing how well this does in the community, hoping that it does reduce the amount of inmate deaths that we see in prisons in Paulding County there. So a very good story here, enhancing jail safety. Moving forward, let's talk about something a little lighter. This first of its kind cultural hub coming ahead of the World Cup here in Atlanta.
That's right. Our Tyler Fingert is over in the city of Atlanta, where the Atlanta Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs is hosting a press conference at 2 o'clock to announce a major cultural initiative tied to the FIFA World Cup. The plan features 8 signature activations running from June 14th through July 14th, including live performances, film screenings, and community workshops. The goal is to establish Atlanta as a premier cultural hub during the international tournament coming to the city. So we're all excited about that. A live open call for local vendors and community partners is currently active at atlantaculturehouse.com. Tyler's going to have all the details, so please tune in and listen up to Tyler later today if that's something you're interested in participating in. He'll have all the details for our viewers.
All
And
right.
Jasmine, real quick, I did get a tip not too long ago. I don't know if you want to hear
Okay.
about that.
Yeah, let's talk
we
about
got
it.
a tip from Fulton County that apparently the Fulton County marshals were out serving a routine eviction. And somewhere in South Fulton, I don't have all the details, but I did have Chris King go ahead and move on this story. So we'll have more. But apparently when they were serving this routine addiction, they found 334 pounds of marijuana. We're going to go interview the marshals and officials in South Fulton and in Fulton County to see what else we can get on what went down and who the drugs belong to, if anyone was arrested, et cetera, et cetera. So that's our new tip, and that's what Chris King will be working on later.
All right, Tanya, thank you. You said 304 pounds?
334 pounds.
334. Wow. Okay, looking forward to seeing that story as well. Thanks, Tanya, for joining our stream today. Guys, let's talk about tax day. You know it's tax day. An important reminder for you that you need to file your taxes today. They must be postmarked or electronically filed by the end of the day to avoid a late file penalty. Anyone can file for a 6-month extension. If you owe taxes, that money is still due today, though. So keep that in mind if you do file for that 6-month extension, and you will be charged interest if it's not paid on time, regardless of your extension. So we just want to remind you today is tax day. So file those taxes or file for that 6-month extension. All right, let's turn our attention to weather. Our meteorologist Alex Forbes is joining us here, and he's going to talk about your forecast. It's been hot outside. I've been enjoying that nice weather.
It's been warm. I think today is going to be the really first hot day, right? Getting into the upper 80s. 88 later this afternoon. That's forecasted to break a record. We're well on our way. 79 is where we stand right now in Atlanta. 79 over in Dalton. Already to 80 though on the eastern side of the state. 80 in Gainesville. 83 over in Athens, 84 in Eatonton, and 81 in Thomaston at this hour. Look at these numbers compared to yesterday. Trending warmer. Again, they're on the eastern side of the state. Atlanta, though, we're just about a degree shy of yesterday's number, actually, but plenty of sun today to take care of that. High fire danger continues as well. Please don't go burning any things. I don't know how many times I've asked, and it's not a hypothetical, right? We do have some scatter wildfires out there. So through the afternoon, temperatures getting into the mid 80s under mostly clear skies. It is going to be a warm one. Mind you, our average high temperature is 73. So we're about 15 degrees above average here this afternoon, and that's going to continue for the next several days. Got 87 tomorrow and then 90 there on Friday. That 90-degree high temperature on Friday would be the earliest we have ever seen 90 in Atlanta. As of now, that record is as of April 23rd, and we're forecasting to defeat that record on April 17th. Really need some rain. What do we not have in the forecast? Rain. All right, so completely dry today, and then in the days to come, we got a 20% chance on Sunday. That's going to be a cold front coming through, but that cold front doesn't have a lot of moisture to work with, so that's the best we can do. And that's about it. Cooler next week. Jasmine, think about it this way. 90 on Friday when the kids get off the bus. When they get on the bus Monday morning, 48 degrees.
Oh,
so
my
quite
goodness.
the cool down.
It is quite the cool down. Alex, thank you so much for joining us to talk weather. Looking forward to Friday, where we're going to see 90 degrees. All right, guys, your time is 1:18. When we return, we'll talk about money and how you can be financially free. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. It's a National Financial Literacy Month, a very important topic here, and a time to focus on your finances, building smarter money habits for the future. Let's bring in Dr. Paris Woods. She's an author, a financial expert, and she has more information on how you can take control of your finances at every stage of life. Dr. Woods, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I feel like April is a good month. It's always a good month to talk about money, but this one.
Oh, yeah. That is true. So tell us, for someone just starting out, what's the first step to getting their finances back on track?
Absolutely. Well, listen, I like to say you cannot budget your way out of poverty. So the first step is to make sure that we're making money, earning what we're worth, and also earning money in a way that's aligned with our values and aligned with the work that we want to do in the world. I think that sets us up for success when I teach the 3 M's. So make, and then we manage, and then we multiply. So we got to get that make down first. And I think if you want to experience financial freedom, making money in a way that aligns with your values is the first step.
I love that motto there. Make, multiply. Say it one more time. I skipped a step.
Make, manage, multiply.
Make, manage, multiply. I love it. So you talk about making money work for you. What does that really look like in everyday life?
Listen, outside of making money align with your values and your skills and the things that bring you to life, that's usually the most fun part. The place where we struggle the most is with the management. And so often folks tell me, I wish I were more disciplined with money. And the truth is that our discipline, it depletes, right? We have a limited amount of willpower every day and it depletes. And so the best way to address that isn't to get better with money, it's to get better with systems. So how do we start to automate those goals that we have, set up systems to make it easy to make good decisions and make it difficult to make the decisions we don't want to make? That makes the money management piece so much easier. And then it frees us up to not only enjoy making the money, but then to focus on multiplying it and building wealth.
Now, Dr. Woods, tell us some of the biggest financial mistakes that you see younger people make.
Number one biggest mistake is getting into debt. And as soon as you turn 18, it's really easy to sign on the dotted line for student loans, for cars, right? For credit cards. And the reality is that it's easy to spend that money, but then we're, in our 30s and our 40s still paying back all of that debt. So if there's any trap that I could get in front of young people early, is to say that there are so many other ways to pay for life and to have the experiences you want to have outside of debt. Society teaches us debt is normal. And the truth is that that is simply not the case. And that, there are multiple other ways to have a car, to get an education, to afford your life outside of going into debt.
Thank you so much for sharing. Now, let's talk about your books. I know you educate people a lot on this topic here. So talk about your books, your new book first.
Yes. So the Student Guide to Financial Freedom is designed for high school and college students. So those of us adults who've made all of those mistakes and wish we could go back and help our younger selves, this is the gift that you can give to those young people to make sure they avoid those debt traps, understand the power of saving and investing, and set some really inspiring goals, right? So this book is an inclusion of a narrative about some of the mistakes that I made, but also a step-by-step action guide for what to do in high school, what to do in college, what to do when you get that first job. And it is the student adaptation of my first book, The Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom, which is a national bestseller. It sold over 130,000 copies and completely changed money narratives for Black women across the country and abroad, and really shifting our mindset about those debts, but also about the purpose of money, which I believe money is a tool to help you live a meaningful life. So if we can shift from money being the goal to a meaningful life being the goal, that's when financial freedom really becomes accessible.
Thank you so much for sharing, and congrats on your success with your books here. I love to see these books and just, you educating people on financial freedom. Now, one last question for you. Do you have any final thoughts for people at any stage in life trying to improve their financial literacy?
The number one thing that we do is we hide. And there's a lot of shame. We hate talking about money. We hate thinking about money. So, sunlight solves a lot of things. And so I would say, first of all, look at your numbers. Tell yourself the truth about where you are. You might need to do some self-care. You might need to shed a tear. All of that is okay, because once we know where we are, we can set a goal for where we're headed and pick up the books we got them on ebook. We got them on Audible, right? So whatever format, and make sure that you get a plan. The the moment you have the plan in place, you start to feel more in control. So don't be afraid. You can do this. I've done it. I made the mistakes. I recovered. And I tell the story of how you can do it too. So I believe in you, and I would encourage you to take the first step today.
Dr. Woods, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great speaking with you this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, moving forward, let's talk about fashion now. So high energy fashion and a powerful purpose behind it. That's what you can expect at the 7th annual Fashion Play event that's benefiting big brothers and big sisters of Metro Atlanta. So it's all for a good cause here. Fox 5's Natalie McCann sat down with some of the organizers to talk about this meaningful event.
7th annual event and the second time back at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I mean, just talk about how big of an event this year is going to be.
It's going to be huge. We're back at the Benz Stadium for the second year, and this event enables us to serve over 3,000 young people through the support we raise. So it's going to be fun. We're looking for everybody to come out, and I have to give a big thanks to these two amazing leaders here who make this event possible. They're leading our event committee and helping us raise a lot of money to support the work we do to defend the potential of young people.
Yeah, and talk about just the work that you do and how big of an impact this does have on the youth here in Metro Atlanta.
So when I talk about our work, I say defending potential, right? All of us had mentors, someone defending our potential, and we do that for 3,200 young people all across Atlanta, and this event enables us to do that. So 99% of our kids graduate high school on time, 99% avoid the criminal justice system. Their academics are, well, they're doing really good because of mentorship and their potential being defended.
I mean, you're making such an impact on their lives forever.
We are. Yeah. And we know that there's a 20% more likelihood for children who are mentored to enroll in college. So this event is a big deal just for that purpose as well.
And it's such an exciting event to get to see the players and the bigs and the littles strut down the runway. They show their personalities, and it's a very unique experience that, you know, I've never been to at another event in Atlanta like this. So it's, but it's more than just about a fun night. It's very meaningful and purposeful of raising money for our youth. It's an amazing organization in a whole, but it's also raising awareness for the needs of our youth, and it's, you know, investing. I always consider this an investment in the future because these kids are our future leaders, our future healthcare providers and future teachers, so it's an investment.
Yeah, it really is. Talk about too, just for someone who hasn't seen it or been to the event, I mean, what can you kind of expect? What's the vibe? What's the energy like? Get us excited for it.
A fashion show, right?
Yes.
Yeah, a fashion show.
Fashion and
what, right? And what sets it apart is that the littles and the bigs walk together, and we don't see that in a lot of, you know, events around Atlanta galas. And then you just get to hear the story of mentorship and what it means for this city and Metro Atlanta, and I think that's what sets it apart.
And we've have built over the years such great partnerships with Dillard's. They provide all the clothing for the bigs and the littles, and the players with Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons has been a partner since day one, and we're just so grateful for them. And Fox 5, like we couldn't do it without our partners, but we can always use more.
I was going to say, what is y'all's need right now? I mean, as far as, you know, helping the youth, obviously donations and things like that, but what else are you saying?
Corporate sponsorship. It's an opportunity for corporate sponsorship as well as individual patron sponsorship. You know, buy a ticket, buy a table, give an auction item. We could use all of the support that we could get.
And I know last year you guys sold out, and right now, I mean, you need to get your tickets basically ASAP because this sells out very quickly, and it's not an event that you want to miss.
Not at all. The players, you see their personalities like you don't see on the field. They're such serious, you know, focused game day, but this is a day when you get to see them
like a little
dance,
look behind the curtain, get to see a little bit more of their personality. I know you guys are so excited too, aren't you?
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
We are.
May 7th, we need everyone to get their tickets. We're going to sell out. This is the second time we're going to be at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This helps us serve more young people. We have 200 young people waiting for bigs. So in addition to your donations, we need people to sign up to be bigs, be a part of our mission, help young people, and really help Atlanta be the best city by defending the potential of young people. So go to our website, get those tickets, come to Fashion Player. If you're not there, you're going to miss out.
Okay, and two, I want to ask, what does that mean to sign up as a big? Like, what does that look like for somebody who may be interested?
Yeah, so we ask you just to sign up for a year commitment to mentor a young person, to have them walk alongside life with you. It's 2 to 4 hours a month. It's something that anybody can do. You can go to our website, start the process by clicking Be a Big. We have 200 young people waiting for mentors right now. So we need you.
Okay, so y'all heard of them. Please sign up, go to the event, and be a big mentor to all of the youth that you can here in Metro Atlanta. Thank you so much for everything that you guys do. We appreciate it. And Fashion Play is happening Thursday, May 7th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You can watch current NFL players, Falcons cheerleaders, Freddie Falcon, and some surprise guests. For ticket information, go to our website, fox5atlanta.com, click on the Good Day tab, and look for today's viewer information link.
All right, sounds good there. That event happening May 7th. Still ahead today. We'll take you to a new rooftop lounge in downtown Atlanta. So if you enjoy that type of setting, you don't want to miss this story. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. Thanks for joining our news conversation. Let's get into some of our top national stories here. First, the DHS funding fight. Have some new information there. We know that this shutdown has been going on since February 14th, Valentine's Day. So Republicans on Capitol Hill are gearing up to reopen DHS through a process called reconciliation, but this won't be easy. So unions representing tens of thousands of DHS employees are hoping to ramp up the pressure on lawmakers to fully fund the department. It's been partially shut down for more than 2 months, but Republicans say they do have a plan. Leaders in both houses now pushing for the use of a special budget process called reconciliation to push through funding without the reforms demanded by Democrats. Now, House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune agreed to use this process after a big push from President Trump, who says he wants it as a standalone funding bill. But that might be a tough sell for some House conservatives who want the Save America Act included in the package. So Democrats say regardless of how this fight ends, they'll keep pushing for big changes at ICE and CBP. President Trump says he wants the funding bill on his desk by June 1st. So we'll see what comes out of that funding fight. Again, that's been happening for a few months now. Moving now to the war in the Middle East. So while Democrats on Capitol Hill force another war powers vote later today to put guardrails on the commander-in-chief, President Trump says the war with Iran is close to over. But it's still not quite clear if the ceasefire will be extended or if negotiators will reach a long-term deal. So with less than a week until the ceasefire expires, U.S. and Iranian officials say there's no formal agreement to extend it just yet, but the two sides are still talking. And President Trump is optimistic. So the president believes that the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports will push the regime to agree to his terms with about 90% of their economy on the line. But now the Iranians say they'll go further, blocking all ship traffic in the Gulf of Oman and the Red Sea if the U.S. blockade continues. One of those cards could be pressuring China. Additional warships and thousands of sailors and Marines are still en route to the region, giving the president options if the peace talks fall apart. So we'll continue to also update you on this big story here as well. Let's talk about what's trending now on our website, fox5atlanta.com, and bring in Fox 5 digital content creator Sam Daniel, and he has a look at those stories that you are clicking on the most.
Hey, Jasmine, that's right. Our top story that people are really wanting to see about today has to do with this spree of shootings that happened Monday in DeKalb and Fulton counties. We've learned some new things, including that the first victim who died in this shooting has been identified as 31-year-old Brianna Weathers. Police say she was killed outside of a Checkers around 2 a.m. on Monday. A unhoused person, in the word of police, was then shot outside of a Kroger in DeKalb County, and then at 7 a.m., a third victim, who was previously identified as Lauren Bullis, was shot and killed while walking her dog. We have learned now Bullis, who you see on your screen, was a Department of Homeland Security employee. She was 40 years old, and DHS said that she was killed by Alokaton Adon Abel, who's 26, and according to DHS, Adon Abel was actually born in the United Kingdom, not in the United States, but received citizenship in 2022 under the Biden administration. After receiving his citizenship, police say he has been arrested multiple times. He faced misdemeanor charges in Savannah, and then he was also convicted of a felony in California, but we're not quite sure what that felony is. Police weren't able to specify exactly what happened in California.
And Sam, he has no connections to these victims from what we know, right?
Correct. Police have not released an exact motive, but they said that the shootings appear to be random.
Wow, very sad story here. Let's talk about the big Turning Point USA event that happened yesterday in Athens, Georgia.
Yeah, and so we're working to try and figure out what exactly went down, but we do know that Turning Point USA's current CEO and president, Erica Kirk, who is the wife of the late Charlie Kirk, who died at a Turning Point USA event last year, didn't come to Athens yesterday. Vice President J.D. Vance did attend the event, and he said that Kirk was not there because of threats against her. We're working to try and figure out what those threats are. We reached out to the FBI. The FBI said that Vice President Vance talked with FBI Director Kash Patel, but they didn't go into any sort of detail about what these threats were, or they didn't even confirm that there were threats. They just said there was a conversation. And Vance also said he talked with Secret Service before attending the event to make sure that it would be safe for him.
Thanks for giving us an update on this story as well, because it was very interesting that Vice President went to this event still, but Erica Kirk didn't. So thanks for giving us an update there. I know many people were asking about this story. Let's move forward and talk about the shooting, involving Offset. So he's been back performing and everything. So it seems like he's been recovering well.
Yes, so he's been recovering well. He is back on stage, but we've got some new information about what went down before he was shot. The FBI is investigating the shooting. It happened in Hollywood, Florida, which is in South Florida, kind of around the Miami area, if you will. Police say that he was shot after a large group was around him. They said that it appears that the group was trying to take his watch. We're not sure what type of watch he had on, but they've also released some pictures and videos of some different SUVs around the shooting, and they're asking for help trying to figure out who these people are, what happened, and why they targeted Offset, if they targeted Offset, or why they decided to pick Offset if he was a random person just to try and steal his watch.
Sam, thanks so much for joining the stream today to talk about these top stories here. Glad that we're receiving more information about this shooting involving Offset, and also glad that he's recovering well, and hope he continues to recover. But thanks, Sam, for joining us. All right, guys, moving forward here, let's talk about this. A new Jagger site, a new Jagger Suite, that is the new rooftop lounge that sits pretty high above the city at the Moxie Atlanta downtown, and the vibes inside are straight out of Studio 54. So Fox 5's Paul Milliken stopped by this place, and he's going to give us a sneak peek.
Welcome back, everybody, to Jagger Suite. It keeps getting better and better. We've had drinks, we've had food, now we have more food and more drinks. Alan, I am so happy right now. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you for being here. We're still here.
I know. And let's talk about what's about to happen right now. What is this?
This is our caviar experience. Yeah. Creme fraiche, potato chips, and
something a little special.
Yes, we have our Antonio's Siberian caviar that we have here, and it has a little bit of a presentation for you.
Okay, let's do it. We want the presentation.
We're going to go ahead and pour this in, and there you go.
I love it. This is what I'm talking about, and this is what you expect from a place called Jagger Lounge. This is amazing. How do you eat this then? Just dip the chips right in?
The best way to go ahead and eat this is you grab one of the Guff-Red potato chips, and you go ahead and just scoop a little bit of the caviar right here. Do a little bump on there with a pearl spoon. It helps to keep all the flavors naturally in there. And you add a little bit of that manchego foam, a little bit of nuttiness, some fresh cheeses sliced on
Amazing. Okay, well, I'm gonna put you to work. Will you hold the microphone really quickly while I do this? I mean, look, you guys, I gotta do a little try. You know, I love my caviar. A little bit of this on there too. Yeah, you help me out if you would. Oh, I am so excited. This is the best breakfast I have ever had. All right.
How'd we do?
What do you think?
Look, I deserve this, okay? I deserve this every morning. This is amazing. Thank you very much. And then, can you tell me about the burger?
Sure. So this is our Jagger Suite burger. It's one of my favorite items on the menu. Truffle fries, a couple of different dips for the fries. One of my favorite. Also, you got to see, comes in our...
That is so cool. I love it. It's elevated fast food.
It's like our Big Mac.
Yes, it's so perfect.
My favorite part, actually, is here. This is our milkshake, vanilla milkshake with edible chocolate straw.
I mean, come on. You cannot get better than this. So again, this is Jagger Suite. If you haven't already seen it, it is a new night spot. Opens at 4 p.m. 5 days a week, right?
5 days a week, Wednesday through Sunday. That's right.
And you were saying before, as the night goes on, the vibe in here sort of evolves and changes, right?
It does. It becomes a little darker. We close up the drapes. Music gets louder. People start to move a little bit. You know, it becomes a moment.
I mean, look, you got a twirling, glittering unicorn back there. You got to move on the dance floor when the music starts. And then I want to get up for a minute. We're going to come back. Don't worry, because I want to eat this food. But you've got more things coming. Look, this place just opened, so there are developing elements as we speak. Let's walk down this hallway down here and tell us where we're going.
So we're going to the back where the restrooms are. But just past the restrooms, we have a room that's called the powder room.
Okay, now what is the powder room?
Well, in essence, the name powder room becomes a space for a woman to powder her nose and prepare, of course. But we have a little secret spot for you.
Ooh. Oh, I am excited. And you guys,
this is our powder room key.
You're the first to see it.
This is.
Yes.
Come on in.
All right, here we go.
Yes.
Oh, this is so cool. Into the mirrored hallway. Oh, you are getting a real behind the scenes look now. And then there's more behind the curtain, but we're not going to take you back there yet because it's open soon.
That's right. We're opening in about a month.
Okay.
Follow us to understand when it's coming. You'll be able to make a reservation. The only way to access the powder room is through reservation.
Is by reservation. And I'll just give you guys a quick little teaser. Think Jetsons. Think space age, right?
That's right. Think like Science Laboratory meets the Jetsons.
I'm obsessed, and I cannot wait for this part to open. Also, there's going to be hotel suites people people can actually stay in around the corner here at the Jagger Suite.
Yeah, probably the only hotel I know that has suites on the same level where their nightlife spot is. So people can rent the rooms for the night, not the hour. Rent the room for the night and experience Jagger Suite, the powder room, and then crawl to their bed.
I mean, it could not get more convenient than that. Okay, so Tim, wait, you come with me. You're going to step up. You're going to step up here. You and I are going into the powder room, but nobody else is coming with us, right? We're closing it off. You have to wait until it opens, guys. Exclusive.
All right, that looks like a fun spot. Just so if you're interested, definitely check it out. Jagger Suite in downtown Atlanta. Time is 1:46. When we return, we'll take a look at this new high-tech plant in Georgia that is family-owned and working to bring jobs to the state. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. During a time when manufacturers are moving overseas, one Georgia company is doubling down on local growth. So a family-owned business in Bremen is expanding in a big way, investing in jobs and the future of Georgians. Fox 5's Chris Rosenthal is giving us an inside look at their new massive facility. And Chris, this facility is 100,000 square feet. I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in that facility now. As you can see, workers are back from lunch break. They're already working here at Southeastern Hose in Bremen. This business has been here since 1963, but they've just added on a huge new 40,000 square foot section here. Really gives them a chance to be really efficient. They manufacture, some of these large hoses that you see right here. I'll just kind of pan around, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about this with Trey Travis. He is one of the owners here, one of the family members here.
That's right, yes, sir.
Running this business. First of all, tell me about what you guys do with the hose here. This isn't just your lawn hose here, huh?
That's correct. No, it's we service industrial markets. So if you think pulp and paper, chemical, steel are your traditional ones. Data centers are some of the new ones. But anywhere fluid conveyance is happening, fluid is moving, we're the experts in that. So that's what we pride ourselves in and day out, is putting out product for the industrial market.
Yeah, it's interesting. You kind of go with different markets you're talking about. Data centers is kind of the new big one for you, huh?
That's right. It's a domino effect. I mean, you like to hear a lot about data centers and some of the things that come along with them, but it's a domino because steel is some of our traditional markets, right? And so the steel market has grown because we've got to build these data centers and build the infrastructure. Your oil has come on because of everything going over on the Middle East. So while data centers is a lot of it, there's a lot of macroeconomics coming into play that's pushing a lot of business back to the U.S. and then obviously a lot of the drive towards manufacturing, reshoring, and things like that. We're getting some benefits from that.
And that really allows a business like your business here to grow and expand. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so we've been very lucky over the last 60 years. We had some steady growth rate over the last 60 years, and then the last 5 or so years has really gone through the roof. What really happened at first was COVID. When COVID happened, there was a lot of consolidation of the market, and a lot of it flowed to us because of that reason. And so what you're seeing right here is every metal hose is tested with air underwater as a minimal test, and then they could be hydrostatic tested and things like that to get your higher pressures. And there's specialty cleaning. There's an upsell room is what I like to call it.
You know, the kind of jobs here. You guys are a big employer here. You got about 130 or so people?
That's right. That's including our part-time employees. We've got a great relationship with all of our local high schools. I've got 4 high schools, I believe, represented with some of our part-time work-based learning programs. And then we've got a very good relationship with West Georgia Technical College and their partnership with the Metallica Band and their scholars. We've got a couple of welders from their programs this year on-site training, and then we had some last year, one of which stays with us, and she works on our night shift. And we were able to get her full-time after that scholarship ran out.
We talk about skilled trades. I mean, there's a shortage. What's needed out there?
We need welders. I mean, welders, and from I'm in these 4 walls, but from my understanding, any skilled labor in this market, electrical, HVAC, if you can get into those, you're going to make a good living.
Yeah, good paying jobs.
That's right. For me, it's welders, but there are people out there, the Mike Rose of the world are advocating for skilled labor.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, while a lot of jobs going overseas, you guys are keeping it right here, huh?
It's the Tommy boy saying, American hands doing American work. We take a lot of pride in that. My family's done it for 60 years. I grew up here. A lot of these guys helped raise me when I was little. And we take a lot of pride in the United States and being here at Made in Georgia and specifically West Georgia. This is a pretty rural area. There's not a whole lot of industry out here. It is growing, but traditionally we've been one of the largest employers in this county, at least private employers. And, you know, it's something it's close to our hearts. We enjoy it and love our people. It's one big family.
That's amazing, the products that you make. I mean, they touch a lot of different buildings, facilities across the country.
That's right. Yeah, pretty much any commercial facility where there's fluid moving, my product will be in some form or fashion. You don't see it. A lot of time it's behind the walls, under the floor, in the roof, you know, but it's there. And it's very essential to making some of the piping systems operate properly.
Awesome. Well, Trey, thanks for joining us, giving us a little tour. I mean, this is only a small part of the big facility here. Wish I could show it all to you, but just so much here. Well, we'll back up. I don't want to get hit by that large pipe and hose right there. But yeah, a lot of jobs here, 130 or so jobs, and you know, skilled labor. Welders, your Trey say, that's one of the big ones here. But I was doing a welding story yesterday with a local welding school. These are really, really good paying jobs. You can come out of high school. Oftentimes you get these kind of jobs. That's right. And get the training you need. So there you go. So back to you.
All right, Chris, thanks so much for showing us this facility that's bringing new jobs to Georgia. I know many people are excited about this, especially because it is bringing jobs to that area there. Thanks for joining us, guys. I want to take you out live to an event happening right now. Caroline Levitt currently taking questions here on tax day. We know that several other officials, Kelly Loeffler's present, Scott Bessent. Let's listen to this live.
Requesting claims for tariff refunds, and my understanding is $127 billion eligible for refunds. What's that process look like? How can a porter and an importer request such a refund going forward?
That's not being run out of Treasury. We will just be the paymaster, so that's being run out of CPB. Yep.
And so explain that process. I understand you're not running it. How does that process actually work? If you're an importer, you paid these tariffs, the Supreme Court found that those terrorist or illegal, what's the process for them to get back that money?
Well, they would be in touch with the CPB, and I think the number you're quoting is so that's the amount who have already requested refunds, so they are already in the chute, and we'll see what the timeline is for that.
Will that affect the U.S. economy, all of those refunds coming out of the U.S. Treasury?
Again, we'll have to see what comes out, and we'll have to see what the companies do with them. Just to be clear, thanks to the Supreme Court, some of this money is going back to China. So is that going to affect the U.S. economy? I don't know.
A question for Secretary Besson.
Danny, go ahead.
Mr. Secretary, you were quoted as saying in an interview earlier this week that it was worth a bit of economic pain for international security. Is that this administration's message to American voters with high gas prices that ahead of the midterms this year that it's worth the economic pain?
Well, the message is the short-term volatility for long-term gain.
And Danny, if I could add to that, the president's been very clear, again, as the secretary just said, this is a short-term disruption for the long-term strategic goal of the United States to ensure that the world's leading state sponsor of terror cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. That's a good thing for the American people. That's a good thing for people all over the world. And as the president and his economic and energy team have repeatedly stated, as soon as the operation and now the negotiations with Iran conclude and the strait is reopened, we do expect gas prices to decrease. And thank goodness we have a president and an administration that believes in American energy dominance in bringing down prices at the pump. Look at how gas prices decreased over the past year since this president was in office. It's a stark contrast to the previous administration and Democrats in this city who believe in hampering our domestic energy industry, who believe in importing our most precious resources, who believe in implementing policies that created the worst inflation crisis in history. So President Trump has built the greatest economy in the world before. He is doing it again. Of course, we have this short-term disruption, but again, it's for the long-term strategic goal of ensuring that these terrorists cannot possess a nuclear bomb. Jennifer. First, Secretary Besson, on the Russian oil, I know the sanctions waivers have expired, but how much money did Russia benefit from that temporary sanctions rules? You initially said about $2 billion. Is that?
It could have been $2 billion. We don't know. But let's think of a different world where oil spiked to 150. And they would have made a lot more by doing that, by pushing the Russian barrel.
All right. You just listened to White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt and the U.S. Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent speaking there here on Tax Day. We'll continue to talk about this conversation. It's Tax Day. A good reminder there to file your taxes or file for that extension there. Your time is 1:58. Our news continues at 2.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for your patience and being here at 2 o'clock on your Wednesday afternoon. We've got a lot of news to get to. We're going to talk about the latest happening here at home as a new representative has been sworn in for the United States House of Representatives, as well as news conference we're expecting from the Atlanta mayor's office on FIFA initiatives. We're going to talk about that, the latest in Iran, and it is tax day, so there's a lot to get to. But let's start first with a breaking update we continue to follow in Sandy Springs. Police are taking a look at a shooting that unfolded earlier this morning, or rather last night. And at this point, one brother has been arrested and another is on the run after this deadly shooting. Two brothers have been identified as the suspects. This happened last night at a Sandy Springs apartment complex. One suspect was arrested at the scene, but like I mentioned, that brother, a 20-year-old, is on the run right now. Now, I'd like to let you listen in to Sergeant Giovanni Gomez, who briefed us from the Sandy Springs Police Department just a bit ago.
April 14th at approximately 8:20 p.m., our officers responded to reports of a person shot at 550 Northridge Parkway. When they arrived, they found the victim, 29-year-old Justin Tucker, laying in the parking lot with multiple gunshot wounds. Sadly, he was pronounced deceased at the scene. At this point in the investigation, we believe there was a confrontation between two suspects and the victim, which led to the shooting. Our detectives were able to identify 26-year-old Derek Washington and his brother, 20-year-old Mason Washington, as our suspects. Mr. Derek Washington was taken into custody yesterday in his apartment during the execution of a search warrant. Mason Washington remains outstanding. We are currently looking for him. They both face the same charges: felony murder, malice murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during commission of a felony. We want to thank the property management at 550 Northridge Parkway and the citizens that were temporarily displaced from the residents during the course of this investigation for their cooperation and understanding. Finally, our thoughts are with Justin Tucker's family and everybody affected by this tragedy. This time I'd like to take questions.
Motives, what led to this?
This time in the investigation, we're not able to release that because it's still an ongoing investigation, but there was a confrontation between the suspects and the victim.
Did it have anything to do with illegal drugs or drug sales?
At this time, it's already on in the investigation.
How valuable were the witness statements to help you guys in this investigation?
They were very valuable.
How?
Okay, so you guys, we were just listening in as Sergeant Giovanni Gomez was answering questions from reporters, and I see some of you guys are asking these questions here in our chat. We know the victim is Justin Tucker, according to what Sergeant Gomez was just saying his thoughts and prayers go out to Justin Gomez's family, or excuse me, Justin Tucker's family. Now, Sergeant Gomez was not specifying what was at the heart of this confrontation between the two brothers and what happened between those two brothers and the victim in this situation. But he did say it was a confrontation that happened inside of that apartment complex in Sandy Springs, and the victim lost their life. So we'll keep you updated as we learn any new information. One of those brothers is on the run. 26-year-old Derek Washington is in custody, and 20-year-old Mason Washington police are searching for as of right now. So if you know anything, let police know. Shamari Lindsay, you're asking where this happened. It happened on Northridge Parkway in Sandy Springs at an apartment complex there. 550 Northridge Parkway is the exact address, and the shots were fired around 8:20 last night. So police are trying to figure out what led up to this. It's likely that they probably already have a really good indication as to what unfolded before that shooting, but they are not releasing those details just yet, as they say the investigation is ongoing. As soon as they release those details, we'll let you know. But this deadly shooting unfolded in Sandy Springs around 8:20 last night. Police say two brothers were in a confrontation with a victim, Justin Tucker, and the victim lost their life as a result. So you can find the latest updates here in the Fox Local app. As we get more information, we will let you know. Let's switch gears here and talk about a campaign stop from Derek Dooley, who was joined by Governor and First Lady Marty Kemp and Governor Brian Kemp there. So we have Deidre Dukes, who is at that campaign stop. Deidre, we understand that Derek Dooley has been a bit of a political outsider, but with some high-profile visits and names joining him here, does that maybe signal that he's becoming a bit more mainstream as he runs for Senate?
Yeah, the Republican
the Republican U.S. Senate candidate who is competing right now for the primary, hoping to make it to the general election where he would face off against Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff if he were to win the primary. He is still running as an outsider, even though, as you said, he has a very strong relationship with the governor who is supporting him in this race, who has backed him in this primary effort. Of course, Governor Kemp and Derek Dooley do go way back as far as their friendship goes, and so that has added to the governor's, support of him and his endorsement of him, saying that he is the one candidate who can win this race if he wins the primary. And so he has been campaigning with him today, and also crisscrossing the state, will be campaigning with him again tomorrow. Day one is part of a two-day campaign tour by the U.S. Senate candidate, and also joined on the campaign trail not only by Governor Kemp, but at times, not this morning, not on this first stop, but will be joined along the way by the First Lady Marty Kemp. We also saw today that here at this event, which was hosted by the Fulton County Republican Women's Group, that we also saw gubernatorial candidate was here as well. Lieutenant Governor was here also as well today, Burt Jones. And so it was a unified front here as far as the Republican candidate seeking higher statewide office joining today in this effort to try to really drum up the vote. During his talk today, we were told by Dooley that he is running on a 5-point campaign promise, a contract, as it were, that he said that he would, in part, if he were to be elected, would not serve for more than 2 terms. He said that he would, in fact, not accept or trade any stocks or cryptocurrency during that time. He also promises to hold regular town halls to stay connected with voters. And we did talk to him today about what he's hearing on the campaign trail and why he feels he's the right candidate for the job. Here's what he had to say.
It always starts with, we've got to stop this spending addiction that we have in Washington, D.C. Hadn't balanced the budget in 25 years. We don't really have oversight. It's just been a real failure of Congress to me. But we also need to get government out of the way. Government gets too involved in so many industries. Let our job creators go. Let them go to work. Don't make jobs harder and more expensive. And then ultimately, we got to raise wages and productivity, and that's building a skilled workforce. It's something Governor Kemp has done a phenomenal job in Georgia, and we need to keep building on that.
And Ariel, running as a political outsider, Derek Dooley did stress upon the group today that, his experience as a coach, walking into rooms and talking to individuals from all walks of life, getting, parents to agree to let him coach children, and in some ways, for those who are familiar, service as a surrogate parent for those young people during their college careers, saying that that really is something that he was able to successfully do, and that he is someone who can really bring people together to build that coalition, no matter, Democrat, Republican, Independent, just really those type of connections that he was able to make as a coach is what he believes would help make him what he said would be a senator for all Georgians.
Deidre, it's interesting to hear him talk about accessibility in the sense that he feels his constituents should have access to him with regular town halls. And then the whole idea that he would not trade stocks. I know there's been some bipartisan discussion about whether or not congressmen and women should be able to profit, given that they have such large knowledge as to what's going on in the world and make decisions that affect so many. So interesting campaign promises from him if he were to win.
That's right, because he did point out, he's saying that you have Democrats and Republicans, both sides of the aisle benefiting, in his words again, from their time in office, saying that perhaps they did go to Washington with the intent of working for the people back home. But he's saying too often you see that is not the case, that is not what happens, and that in the end, these lawmakers are really benefiting from their time there, really taking care of themselves. And so he's saying that he would bring a different perspective if he were to be elected, and that he feels that he is someone who, with, along with this 5-point promise that he is making right now, he's saying that he is the person who really would be the best to be a Democrat come November, but also just overall to represent Georgians in Washington if he were to be elected.
Well, Deidre, thanks so much for bringing this to our attention, and we're going to stay tuned to you as you continue to cover all things midterms as we approach November. So, Deidre Dukes, thanks so much, and we'll see you again later this evening. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, you guys, some of you in the chat talking about what you're liking with Ryan. You say live chat on News is Wild. I like it. Ryan, glad to hear some feedback and glad to have you here with us. Every day we like to take your comments and questions on the stories we're covering. This should be a conversation, and you should be able to ask questions on stuff that we're talking about in case you want to know more. We'll try to get those answers to you. So let's talk about a story that we have been following since yesterday, and it's been having a lot of conversation here in our newsroom and on social media. But we have new video showing now not just the arrest of rapper Young Harris, but also his father, T.I., confronting officers after he was arrested. We know that the Gwinnett County Police Department has released this video, and they say an officer spotted a camo-wrapped Tesla Cybertruck speeding near Holcomb Bridge Road and Peachtree Corners Circle on April 12th. An officer says he had to reach speeds of 80 miles per hour to catch the vehicle, clock doing 70 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone. Now, when they say they stopped that vehicle, they noticed a gun on the dashboard and an open THC container in the center console. So they initially tried to get the person inside, rapper Young Harris, to exit the vehicle, but there was a bit of a tense standoff because Young Harris did not want to leave that vehicle. He initially complied after speaking with his lawyer on the phone. Police say that his father, rapper T.I., came out to the scene and was briefed by the arresting officer, saying that he was instructed to get out of the vehicle because there was a firearm in the dashboard and we wanted to separate him from that, and he refused. The officer told T.I. this, and then T.I. reportedly asked the officers if his son expressed fear for his safety, to which an officer replied, "We have to be safe too." So ultimately this was resolved without major incident, but Gwinnett County Police are releasing this video, letting us see how this unfolded. As we continue, I also want to let you know the FBI is releasing new details in the shooting of Atlanta rapper Offset. The FBI says Offset was shot during an attempted robbery outside of a Florida casino, and investigators believe suspects fled in 2 SUVs. They're still on the run as of now. Authorities detained 2 people, but no one has been charged in the shooting. So that's something that authorities are trying to figure out who ultimately is responsible. But they believe a large group was targeting Offset during that attempted robbery outside the Seminole Hard Rock Casino in Hollywood, Florida last week. Additionally, I want to let you know an event we covered closely last night was the Turning Point USA event on UGA's campus. We know one of the big people supposed to be there, Erica Kirk, CEO of Turning Point USA, was not present. She said she was not able to attend due to safety concerns. Those were her words. However, Vice President J.D. Vance did meet with thousands of supporters in Athens while there were hundreds of protesters demonstrating outside. So the vice president said he spoke with the Secret Service and was able to attend. He said that he briefly worried the appearance would be scrapped, but ultimately Secret Service said that the event could move forward with the vice president's presence, so he did attend that. I know that you guys have asked questions about this and how many were in attendance after seeing videos circulate online. We have more information on fox5atlanta.com and here in the Fox local app as we covered that story with our Christopher King. Want to continue to keep you updated on a story unfolding in the Paulding County Jail as the Sheriff's Office is working to find new ways to prevent overdoses. And this new program would detect prisoners' heartbeats, of all things. Our Kevin Stewart joins us live now to discuss. Kevin, this is a really unique way to prevent medical issues or at least detect medical issues and try to catch overdoses as they're happening.
Yeah, it's high-tech stuff. I mean, you'll see the box is probably only about this big, and they are placing them in medical rooms and holding cells because this is where they believe that that really needs to be placed to check on people as they are brought into the Paulding County Jail, a jail that's only about 5 years old right now. They are in the process of creating a network inside this jail, and they said they should be done in about 3 weeks. It's a really fascinating thing. It's been something they've been working on for about a year and a half, and they're using, you remember the big opioid settlement? They're using money for that to put this in the system here, and it's not even $1 million. I want you to take a listen.
I'm a member of the Georgia Sheriff's Association, Jail Region 1 committee member. So we were at a vendor show, and I was approached by Reassurance Solutions in reference to this product, started looking at it, wanting to learn more about it. As you know, corrections is the highest liability that the sheriff has. So to enable to bring this technology into the jail where it detects the heart rate and breaths per minute on inmates inside our care, custody, and control, I thought it was important that we brought this back to our sheriff's office.
When somebody is arrested and then brought to jail immediately, that's the cell that they initially go in, and that's when we typically find that somebody is high on some type of drugs or alcohol, when they're what we would consider a high-risk inmate before they come through our system and get checked by our nurses and staff here at our facility.
Now, they have more than 60 of these devices, and eventually, the money isn't there right now, but eventually they want to get this throughout the jail, which carries about, capacity is about 600 people. They have 290 here right now. They want to be able to get these devices on the cells, or even a wearable technology that they can place on each and every inmate here. Ariel?
A question that comes to my mind as I'm listening to you talk about this, has there been any pushback over invasive concerns or privacy concerns for the inmate? I guess one might say that you kind of give up your privacy when you go to jail, but has there been any pushback to a program like this that you've heard of?
That's a good question. Certainly not here, but we have not heard back from any organizations who have any pushback on this. It's worth noting that Fulton County is the first jail in the state to use this technology.
Okay, good to know. Kevin, thanks so much for bringing it to our attention. We'll see you again later this evening as you continue to keep us updated. So Kevin Stewart, thank you so much. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, some of you here on TikTok asking, Burrell, I see you asking, I assume you're talking about Erica Kirk at the Turning Point USA event. How can you be scared with Secret Service in attendance? So that is a question that a lot of you have actually been asking, that if the Secret Service cleared it, what was the threat that made her feel uncomfortable to come? And that is a question that we've actually asked. Haven't heard back yet, but of course, if and when we were to, we would let you know on Fox Local and fox5atlanta.com. But that is something that has been part of an extensive conversation on social media. As a lot of people were pointing out, they felt that ticket sales were low, and that was a reason why she did not attend. Again, that has not been confirmed, but I do want to address it since it is something that you guys are talking about. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, one thing that we're learning is that a case is heading to the Georgia Supreme Court regarding the biolab fire. So the arguments are going to begin next week related to that chemical fire back in 2024 in Conyers at the biolab facility. It forced residents to evacuate for several weeks because of chemical emissions. That elevated chlorine levels in the area was really unsafe for people to be breathing that in. According to court documents, those affected by the fire are asking the court to require biolab to pay for continuous medical monitoring. So that is something that we'll keep you updated on as that case progresses before the state Supreme Court. Something else I also want to let you guys know about is that Representative Clay Fuller has now been sworn in to the House of Representatives, officially replacing former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. He signaled his immediate priorities, including a major piece of voting legislation backed by President Donald Trump, the Save America Act. And his arrival maintains the Republican majority as one final vacant seat does exist to be filled this summer. So we'll keep you updated as that progresses and as we get more word on the balance of power in Congress, both with that vacant seat and as we approach the midterm elections. But let's talk a little bit about what is going on Capitol Hill, because at this point, Congress is trying to fund the Department of Homeland Security, and they're trying to reopen the agency through a process called reconciliation. Unions representing tens of thousands of DHS employees are hoping to ramp up pressure on lawmakers to fully fund the department. It's been partially closed for more than 2 months. And Republicans say they have a plan. Leaders in both houses are pushing for the use of a special budget process called reconciliation, and would basically push through funding without the reforms demanded by Democrats. House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune have agreed to use reconciliation after a big push from President Trump. Now, the president says he wants it as a standalone funding bill, but that might be a tough sell for some House conservatives who want the Save America Act included in that package. That proposed federal law would change voter registration and ID requirements for federal elections. Democrats say regardless of how the fight ends, they're going to keep pushing for big changes at ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. And the president says he wants this funding deal on his desk by June 1st. So the president is setting a deadline there. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, you guys, we're going to check in with meteorologist Alex Forbes for the latest on your weather forecast here at home. Also want to get you an update on what the latest is regarding the war with Iran and how that ceasefire is holding up. And today is tax day, and the White House held a briefing on that just moments ago. We're going to check in on all this coming up. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad here with meteorologist Alex Forbes. Alex, feeling a little warmer outside. What's in store for the week?
A little. What are you talking about?
Listen, it felt nice. I did feel a breeze. It didn't feel too bad, but I know the hard stuff is coming.
Well, you make a good point. It's not oppressive outside. It's not humid, right? It's more of a Phoenix type of heat rather than a Florida type of heat. So count that as a win. 81 now in Atlanta, and we're going to continue to warm into the afternoon. Of course, our high temperature happening later and later in the day now, thanks to sunset being later in the day and the sun rising earlier in the day. We're up to 79 now in Carrollton, 81 in Griffin, 86 now in Eatonton. It wouldn't surprise me if a place like Eatonton or down towards Milledgeville or into Putnam County do end up reaching 90 today. I don't think Atlanta will, but a couple of spots down to the south, that is a distinct possibility. So I'm officially forecasting 88 for Eatonton, 88 for the city, 87 in Covington, 87 in Thomaston. But look, does Forsyth hit 90, or does Monticello hit 90, or maybe Greensboro? That's entirely in the realm of possibilities here. Average high is 73, so we will be well above that mark here this afternoon, well above it tomorrow, and then certainly by the time we get to Friday, if we hit 90 on Friday, which we're forecasting to right now, that would be the earliest 90-degree high temperature on record for Atlanta. Friday's date is April 17th. That current record stands at April 23rd. But there's a course correction on the way by the time we get to next week. Here's some more details on this first 90 thing, all right? So there's your earliest record that we're putting in jeopardy. For reference, our average first 90-degree day is not typically until after Memorial Day. May 31st is the average date of that. The latest we've ever done it is July 28th, and I think it's safe to say that we will not be coming close to that date this year, maybe in the years to come, but certainly not for 2026. One thing that we need, some rain. Don't have that today. Got a little speed bump there on Sunday at 20%, but Ariel, that's going to be a front coming in. We're calling it a decaying front. It's going to bring the cooler air. It just doesn't have any moisture to work with. So that 20% chance of rain, you know, I would like it to be a whole lot higher, but unfortunately it's not. On the flip side of things, right, going from the 80s down into the 70s, it's somewhat of a powerful cold front. A little piece of me, not a large piece, but a little piece of me is happy there's no moisture, because it's severe weather season, right?
Yeah.
And if we were to be able to see a cold front come through with a lot of moisture, a lot of instability, we'd be talking about a much different story.
Okay, well, good to know, Alex. Thanks for the update. I know you'll continue to keep us updated, especially as we are approaching the height of the severe weather season, just now beginning, but more to come there. So, Alex, thanks so much. As we continue, like promised, you guys, I want to keep you updated on what is unfolding with the Iran war, because at this point, the big question is whether or not a ceasefire will be extended in order to allow a peace deal to be worked out. Democrats on Capitol Hill plan to force another war powers vote later today to put guardrails on the president. But it's not clear if that ceasefire is going to be extended or if negotiators are going to reach a long-term deal. There's less than a week at this point until that ceasefire expires, and officials say there's no formal agreement to extend it yet. Both sides are still talking, and President Trump is optimistic, saying the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports will push the regime to agree to his terms, with about 90% of Iran's economy on the line. But now Iranians say they're going to go further, blocking all ship traffic, not just in the Strait of Hormuz, but the Gulf of Oman and the Red Sea, if this United States blockade continues. One of the cards that the United States could play would be pressuring China. The president says he's reached out to Xi Jinping about China reportedly sending weapons to Iran. Tuesday, China's foreign ministry called the U.S. blockade a dangerous and irresponsible move. The President Trump says China, though, is happy that he's permanently reopening the Strait of Hormuz. And further, the president says that President Xi Jinping will give him a hug when he gets to China in a few weeks for a U.S.-Chinese visit. One thing to keep in mind is that additional warships and thousands of sailors are still en route to the region to give the president more options in case peace talks fail. But I know that this is something we're going to watch closely as these negotiations continue. Meanwhile, like I mentioned, today is tax day, April 15th, and the White House used the opportunity today to talk a little bit about what the One Big Beautiful bill has done to help families. We heard from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Small Business Administrator Kelly Loeffler. Let's take a listen.
Good. Thank you, Caroline. I'm here to tell you that it has been a fantastic tax season. It has gone smoothly. It has gone efficiently from the point of view of the IRS, but most importantly, it's been a great tax season for the American people. Thanks to promises made, promises kept, through the working families tax cuts, the president has delivered the record refunds to the American people. More than 45% of the filers of the returns that we have seen have had at least one of the 4 president's signature policies: no tax and tips, no tax and overtime, the deductions for our great seniors, and the deductibility of interest on auto loans for American-made cars. And I will tell you that the biggest, one of those that Americans have taken is no tax and overtime. And it's the American way. If you want to work longer hours, you get to keep more of your money. And with that, we are seeing I want to encourage everyone out there watching today to change their withholding if they haven't already done so. Because if you change your withholding, then you will get an automatic real wage increase on a weekly or a monthly basis, and you will be able to keep more of your money this calendar year. So with that, we have also seen with the Trump accounts, we have had 5 million families file for Trump accounts for their children. 1.2 million of those are eligible for the $1,000 seed bonus. So we look forward to that picking up.
So you're listening as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent touts how these tax cuts, no tax on tips or overtime, has helped the American worker, as he says. And we also heard from Small Business Administrator Kelly Loeffler about how these cuts are helping small businesses. Now, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt did take questions from reporters. I'd like to let you listen to a few that were asked and what she had to say.
Of now former Representative Eric Swalwell in bed. The president's heading to Las Vegas. Well, Eric Swalwell was in Las Vegas in this video. I'm told, according to geotagging, this scandal has erupted now. Accusers coming forward, many others coming forward, as well as questions regarding his extremely close relationship with Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego. And I want to know if the administration had any comment on the fact that Senator Gallego seemed to be very vocal about wanting the release of the Epstein files, and yet when questions come to his own involvement with Eric Swalwell, he doesn't seem to want to provide anything.
Yeah, look, I think the accusations and allegations against former Representative Swalwell are despicable and disgusting. I think it's also quite plausible, as you point out, Jack, that there were many other Democrats in this town on Capitol Hill who knew about his perhaps illegal behavior, certainly his disgusting and inappropriate behavior, and why were they silent for so long? I think those are questions that must be raised of these sitting representatives, including Mr. Gallego, and I hope that the journalists in this room will do their jobs, and the journalists on Capitol Hill will do their jobs to ask Democrats in power how they knew about such despicable behavior from one of their elected representatives for so long, but never said or did anything about it. So that's what we hope to see as far as the White House and the president is concerned. Thank you. Peter.
Thank you. I have one for you and then one for Secretary Bessent.
Sure.
For you, Caroline, there are now 10 American scientists who have either gone missing or died since mid-2024. They all reportedly had access to classified nuclear or aerospace material. Is anybody investigating this to see if these things are connected?
I've seen the report, Peter. I haven't spoken to our relevant agencies about it. I will certainly do that and we'll get you an answer. If true, of course, that's definitely something I think this government and administration would deem worth looking into. So let me do that for you.
Thank you. And Secretary Bessent, it doesn't sound like we're going to have $3 a gallon gas by summertime, which we had initially been told by the Energy Secretary. He now says that it would be very aggressive if we're going to get to the $3 a gallon gas by the summer. So when are we really going to get $3 a gallon gas?
Well, I think that's going to be the up to how the negotiations go. President Trump said this morning that he thinks we're nearing the end. The U.S. kept their side on the ceasefire. We've stopped firing. The Straits of Hormuz have not been completely reopened, so we will see. And I'm optimistic that during the summer we will see gas with a 3 in front of it.
So you heard reporters, that was Peter Ducey from Fox News, asking the White House Press Secretary and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent about the scientists who've gone missing, allegedly from NASA and other levels of government, and whether or not an investigation is underway. Caroline Leavitt said that's something that the administration would look into. And then later on, we heard from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent as to how the price of gas is really going to hinge on how negotiations between Iran and the United States go. So something I know we're all following very closely, and we'll continue to keep you updated as that progresses forward. In the meantime, coming up here, going to bring you back a little closer to home here in Georgia as we check in on some wastewater data and what it's revealing about an illness that could be spreading here in our state. That's straight ahead. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here at 2 o'clock. We're learning more about wastewater data here in the state of Georgia and what it's revealing about a potential measles outbreak. We've seen in South Carolina how measles cases have spread, and now we're taking a look here closer to home as to how this could be affecting us. Let's bring in Rebecca Grapevine from healthbeat.org. Rebecca, great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So, Rebecca, what have you learned through your reporting about this wastewater data? What is it showing?
Yeah, this was an interesting one. We all heard about wastewater data during COVID, but it turns out scientists are now using wastewater to track any number of diseases, including measles. And here in Georgia, we have 8 sites where they collect data, and one of those sites in the metro area showed 2 days worth of measles in the wastewater. Now, there's some big pros and some big cons to wastewater data that we can talk about in a minute, and the measles was detected back at the end of March. There hasn't been a case reported since then, but it can serve as an early warning signal that there is measles out there somewhere.
Rebecca, I'm curious, what are health officials saying here in our state, and what are they trying to do based on this data, if anything?
Well, they made an important point, and I fact-checked this with some other sources as well. You know, they said wastewater data can be an early warning signal for any number of diseases, like I said. But on the other hand, you know, all kinds of people travel through Atlanta through the airport and by road all the time. So just because someone passed through and measles showed up in the wastewater doesn't necessarily mean that that person lives in Atlanta or that there is going to be an outbreak. But in other states, you know, wastewater data has served as an early warning sign for outbreaks, like out in West Texas and in Colorado. And that can help public health officials kind of keep their eyes open, prepare. And the health department did send out a notice to, you know, hospitals and clinicians saying, hey, be on the lookout for measles because we did pick up this data.
It's like we're not on fire yet, right? But there could be smoke, and so we need to monitor. Anything else from your reporting on this story that you feel people should be aware of, or things that you found interesting that you feel like our audience should know?
Yeah, well, it is interesting. There were almost 1,000 cases in South Carolina since last October, but this year, since the start of the year in Georgia, we've had only 2 cases. Now, one of those was in an unvaccinated infant, somebody was too young to be vaccinated who traveled internationally, and the other was in somebody down in Bryan County who was unvaccinated near Savannah, and it's not quite clear where that person picked up measles. They had traveled up north, but it's not clear whether they picked it up here in Georgia or while on their travel. So it's important to remember that if you don't have your vaccination, about that, because the vaccination is highly, highly effective in preventing this disease.
Good to know. Rebecca, I really appreciate the update. And, you know, we have a question asking about why we're getting measles. And it sounds like you just answered it, which is when we kind of lose that immunity. And if people are not getting vaccinated for it, that's where that illness can creep up once again. So, Rebecca Grapevine, thanks so much for joining us live and discussing what you found through this data with wastewater. Always appreciate our conversations every Wednesday, and we'll see you again soon.
See you soon.
Bye, Rebecca. Thank you. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, I want to take you out to a celebration in Newnan. There was a bank robbery that happened at a Regions, and a canine was able to go out with police and work to take down the person involved, or the suspect rather. And I believe our Doug Evans actually was at that story at one point, and now our Eli Jordan joins us live to show how this canine's being honored. So Eli, what's happening out there in Newnan today?
Hey Ariel, good afternoon. Yeah, canine Robbie is being honored. Now imagine you rob a bank and a dog chases you down after you crash the car because you freaked out over robbing a bank and you couldn't get away, and the dog bites you and you get taken to jail, taken into custody, and you're sitting in jail for a couple of months. And you look outside and you see the bank that you robbed honoring the dog that got you and apprehended you, because the person that robbed the bank is still in custody here at this jail. And this is where they also honored Robbie, the canine who captured that suspect. And Robbie and his owner, Hunter Spradlin, were honored today. We got a little bit of video of that. Robbie hanging out, getting his personalized bed. It's a lot of good treats and some toys from Regions Bank, who is extremely grateful. Now, this the bank robbery happened on February 11th at the main branch in Newnan, at the main Regions branch, and Hunter Spradlin and Robbie heard the call, and they headed toward the interstate because they figured he was going to be heading out of the county, but they heard that he crashed in the park, so they went to the park, and Robbie got out, took off after the suspect, hot pursuit, hit by a car, but that didn't bother Robbie. He kept on going, and they got the suspect and brought him back here, and Robbie went to the vet, got checked out. He got a week off from work, and I spoke to Hunter and to Regions Bank people, and this is what they had to say. Robbie seems quite dedicated to his job. Does he inspire you?
Oh yes, he makes me want to get him out every day. I go to work, I'm just the driver, he's the brains of the operation. I go to work every day trying to figure out how we can get him out of the car, get him invested into the job, and he's the biggest asset in that car. So I do my best to try and make sure that every day I go to work I find something for him to do.
Tell me. I can't hear him. Tell me real quick, what kind of dog is Robbie? Just, you take him home, right? I can't hear my bite.
And Mimi. Hey Eli. Hey Eli, it seems like we had some issues with your bike cutting off at the end, I think over here in the studio. So all good. We were able to hear from the handler, and I know you had spoken to the Regions Bank
Robbie
personnel
is a good
as well.
dog, I found out for sure. And the Regions Bank people, they said it was a frightening moment, but they're extremely grateful for Robbie and his handler Hunter to do what they do. Now, Robbie, dogs like Robbie, he is not only chases bad guys, he sniffs out drugs, he can find people, and he can he's an all-around dog. And these dogs cost about just over $20,000 for the training and raising, and so they're not cheap tools to have, but they're very good tools to have, because sometimes they're dedicated. They'll do whatever the handler asks them to do. That's what it is about dogs. They will do whatever their owner asks them to do. They're very dedicated, and Robbie was a good dog that day, did what Hunter expected him to do, apprehended the suspect. Suspect is still in custody here at this jail, while Robbie got an honoring here at this jail from Regions Bank, who was robbed that day on February 11th, but the suspect is in custody thanks to Robbie and his handler, Hunter.
Awesome. Well, Eli, thanks for bringing this to our attention, showing us how the community came together. A heartwarming local story. We'll see you again here coming up at 3 o'clock, taking a look over to my right. So probably in a little bit above an hour or so, you will check back in and see what is unfolding there in Newnan. So Eli Jordan, thanks so much for being with us live. And you guys, as we continue here, we have more news straight ahead, so stick around. Okay. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here at 2 o'clock. I want to let you know that the mayor's office is unveiling a landmark cultural initiative dedicated to the FIFA World Cup. Looks like the mayor's still speaking live. This started around 2 o'clock, so let's listen in to what Mayor Andre Dickens has to say about this first-of-its-kind cultural platform.
For young people. We just had a whole weekend of spring break. Monday through Friday, we had thousands of teens and thousands of students able to enjoy our parks and recreation till late in the evening. We were doing paint and sips type thing with Capri Suns and paintings, thinking about the art community with trap music in the background, and one team is playing volleyball while others are doing painting and others are doing gaming. That was going on day and night at promise centers, at youth all the spaces that we created, at the Center for Civil and Human Rights, at Cascade Skating Rink. So we'll be doing those things as well. We're going to be making some announcements about Camp Best Friends for this summer. We'll be making some announcements about the Atlanta Teen Academy. Each group, we have to roll out these things so that everybody gets the whole arc of all the things that's going to be taking place in Atlanta. But of course, teens are going to go outside. They're going to go to the Beltline. They're going to be walking around downtown. They're going to be walking around the various parks and spaces. This is an opportunity for them to see themselves as a part of the world landscape. I don't want us to just close the door on teens. This is the time that their minds should explore and be like, okay, South Africa's here. What does that mean? Who is Mandela? What is the connection between Mandela and Martin Luther King? If you are the home of Dr. King, you got to know what's going to happen when South Africa gets here with Mandela. I'm not locking all the kids into a house. They're going to be outside so they can learn about our culture and the international community. So we're going to try to make sense of the whole thing, and teens will have a fun time just as us grown folks, young grown folks. Yeah.
How much is this going to cost, and why is this money well spent?
Adrian, you got your numbers? I thought it was that, but I didn't want to mess up because Adrian might have spent an extra dollar or two. It's $500,000 is our portion of it, but I know they're heavily subsidizing this thing. The CTR is really putting in a whole lot to make all this happen.
Why would that be money well spent?
Oh, it's a humongous return on investment that will happen. I'm sure from a dollar-to-dollar perspective, but also the cultural ID of Atlanta is going to be on display across the world. Every time Atlanta plays, every time there's a match that's going to happen here, you know how they go. They go to spaces with the cameras, and they're like, we're here at the Culture House. What are y'all doing here in Atlanta? Oh, we're doing this, we're doing that. And then they're going to go to these places. The people around the world say, I got to get to Atlanta. It looks fun. It looks, aware. The people look vibrant. This is going to reap benefits for business attraction, for tourism, for arts exchange, culture exchange, for people-to-people exchange. So all of this is going to produce dividends. Yes, it's going to mean extra hotel night stays. Yes, it's going to mean more rental cars. Yes, it's going to mean more food and beverage being sold at our amazing restaurants. But something about our who-ness, who we are on the international stage, is going to get amplified. So our cultural ID will be enriched and magnified during this time. $500,000. I ain't got another one, but the first $500,000 is going to go far. Adrian, don't call me about no more money. That $500,000 is going to go very far. All right, that's it. Thank you all.
All right, you're listening as the mayor just finished taking questions regarding this cultural initiative that the city of Atlanta is unveiling in relation to the FIFA World Cup. So our Tyler Fingert is following up on this. He's going to join us live to discuss here coming up at 3 o'clock. In the meantime, I want to tell you guys that two of the world's largest airlines may actually merge. Talking about the CEO of American and United Airlines, talking about combining their companies. And if the world's two largest carriers combined, it would be an enormous $38 to $45 billion. That's with a B, billion-dollar deal. Essentially, of the big four, you have American, United, Delta, and Southwest, and it would end up becoming the big three if this merger went through. Neither company has really commented publicly on this yet, but one expert, Severin Borenstein, a renowned energy and airline economist at the Berkeley Haas School of Business, says that this is something that might be possible possible, and the reason their airlines are having these discussions now is because it could be possible under the Justice Department with the Trump administration. So they may be able to get this through. Paul Hudson, a president of nonprofit consumer advocacy group Flyers Rights, says that if this were to happen, you would have one airline controlling 40% of all flights here in the United States. He says he's concerned because he feels we need more competition, not less, in the airline industry. At many airports, United and American compete head-to-head, and this is something that we've seen a lot of airlines trying to find other strategies to remain profitable. High prices have caused some airlines to start charging for baggage, raising ticket fees, and lowering the number of seats that they offer to keep prices high. This could have similar impacts as we look at this merger. One thing to keep in mind is that hub airports would be reduced, forcing people to take multi-leg flights instead of direct flights. We expect a major fight to block this merger because as it were to go through, one thing that attorneys general at the state level could do, particularly in Illinois, where you have Chicago's O'Hare Airport, where United is a major player, is fight what they're seeing with a merger like this. So this is something we're going to continue to keep you updated on. One upside could be the merged airline might be required to give up certain routes that could cause smaller competing airlines to grow or cause new airlines to arise. So something we're going to follow very closely. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, we've got about 30 seconds here. Tom, what have you got in store?
Well, Ariel, big hour of news coming up here in the 3 p.m. streaming hour. We're going to get to Sandy Springs, where police are searching for a killer this afternoon, and a map on this story after a person was found shot to death at an apartment complex. This happened on Northridge Parkway. So we're going to get the very latest from Annie. We're going to check with Alex Forbes as to the remainder of our week's forecast. It's hot out there today, isn't it?
A little warmer than usual.
Yeah, see if that's going to stretch into the weekend, all coming up here in the 3 o'clock hour.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Ariel on Stop. More to come at 3 o'clock.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm your host, Tom Haynes, here with you for the next hour, getting you caught up on all of the afternoon's news today. And it is a very busy Wednesday afternoon of news indeed. We're going to take you to Sandy Springs right up the top here, where police are searching for a killer after a person was found shot to death at an apartment complex on Northridge Parkway. Let's get out to our Annie Mapp live at the scene. Annie, what have investigators told you so far?
Hi, Tom. Investigators just held a press conference not too long ago to give us an update on the shooting. We know it happened here at the 550 Northridge Apartments Tuesday night just before 8:30. Officers say they got calls that shots were fired and responded to the complex to find 29-year-old Justin Tucker in the parking lot suffering from several gunshot wounds. They say that victim did die on the scene. They believe two brothers who also live at this apartment complex are behind the crime. They accuse 26-year-old Derek Washington and his brother 20-year-old Mason Washington of being responsible for the victim's murder. They believe the suspects got into some sort of argument with the victim, and that led to the shooting. Police did take Derek into custody at his apartment last night, but they say Mason is still on the run. Now, both brothers are facing charges that include felony murder, Mattis murder, and aggravated assault. The shooting left some residents out of their apartment, I should say, for several hours while police worked the investigation. We were able to speak to one resident who was here last night. She didn't want to be on camera due to that suspect still being on the run, but take a listen to what she said.
Or, the police and everybody looking through the bushes for this person, but they didn't find the person at all. But eventually we were told that we should just leave our cars. In fact, that's her car just right there.
And again, police tell us that the victim and both of the suspects all lived at this apartment complex. It's unclear what that argument was about that led to the shooting, but officers are asking anyone with information on Mason's whereabouts to please contact police. Tom?
Search for clues in this case. They always sort of explore whether or not these kinds of incidences are prevalent in the particular area where these investigations are happening. So talk to us, if you will, about crime in that particular area and whether neighbors around there are simply shocked by what happened or are kind of shrugging their shoulders saying no surprise here.
Yeah, Tom, we've been here for a little while, and this is a really nice complex. We've been talking to neighbors. They say this is a very rare situation to happen in this part of town. They actually haven't seen any sort of shooting, some of them, since they've been here for over 5 years or so. So it's very concerning. They're also very worried to even step out of their apartment because they explain that they saw officers searching in the bushes. There's a lot of wooded area here at this complex, so they're just not sure where that suspect could be, if he could possibly still be in the area. So you could understand the concerns that neighbors have, just not knowing where Mason is.
Yeah, you certainly can. Annie Mapp live for us this afternoon. Annie, thanks. Also in the news here, during the 3 p.m. streaming hour, rapper King Harris facing several charges after a high-speed traffic stop in Peachtree Corners. This is a story that we've been on top of for the past day or so. Gwinnett County Police say that an officer clocked Harris doing 70 miles an hour in his camo-wrapped Tesla Cybertruck. Body cam footage shows a tense standoff after Harris initially refused to get out of the vehicle. Police say they spotted a handgun on the dashboard and an open container of THC inside. The rapper's father, T.I., arrived at the scene to speak with investigators who defended the arrest, citing safety concerns. Harris was taken to jail, where authorities say they found a suspected oxycodone pill during the booking process. He now faces charges for obstruction and felony drug possession. Rapper Offset is on the mend this afternoon after being targeted in an attempted robbery outside of a Florida casino. Federal investigators say that the Atlanta native was struck in the leg by a single gunshot after a large group tried to take his watch. The shooting happened last week outside the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, just south of Fort Lauderdale. The FBI says the suspects escaped the scene in 2 separate Chevy SUVs. Offset's already returned to the stage following a brief hospitalization performing at a music festival over the weekend. So far, no arrests have been made, but authorities are working to track down the individuals involved. Vice President J.D. Vance defending Erica Kirk after she skipped the Turning Point USA event at the University of Georgia. Kirk, who is the widow of slain activist Charlie Kirk, opted out of the Athens appearance Tuesday due to safety concerns. Vance told the crowd he briefly considered canceling the event altogether, but decided to move forward after consulting with the Secret Service. During his remarks, the vice president took aim at critics of the widow, telling the crowd that she is simply grieving her husband. The event drew a large crowd of supporters, but they were met by hundreds of protesters demonstrating against the administration's stance on immigration and the war in Iran. Vance also addressed those international tensions, stating that the president is pushing for a comprehensive deal to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. You'll remember that Vance was just over in Europe not too long ago, trying to work out a ceasefire agreement between the United States and Iran, something that didn't yield fruit for now, but the negotiations are still going on. The Fulton County Board of Commissioners is back at the Capitol today for their second regular meeting of the month. On the agenda, key updates from the Elections Office and the Department of Public Works. Angelique Proctor, live in downtown Atlanta with more. Angelique, what came out of this meeting today? All right, looks like we're having a bit of a technical hiccup with Angelique's audio there in her live shot from downtown Atlanta. But again, she's on the Fulton County Board of Commission meeting back at the state capitol. Let's head back out to Angelique. What more can you tell us about this meeting, the second one in a month, Angelique?
Well, good afternoon to you, Tom, and we apologize for that technical hiccup there. But a lot of people agreed that we need a new facility. The Fulton County Jail is clearly deteriorated, but they kind of disagreed on how to do it. In the end, though, they all came together and decided to move forward with funding for what is called a special purpose facility. Now, this was not a new jail, as Fulton County Sheriff Patrick Labatt had hoped for. This special purpose facility is really going to house about 1,800 inmates and focus on mental health. The cost of the new facility will be about $1.3 billion, yes, billion with a B, which is about $135 million more than was initially talked about. Today they had a presentation that was really an update on what they plan to do, and it talked about the fact that since they're going to focus on mental and behavioral health, Sheriff Patrick Labatt has said in the past that 70% of his inmates suffer from mental health issues. Now, jail support services will also now be included in this project, which raised the cost a bit, but includes things like dining facilities and laundry areas. Fulton County Commissioners had a lot of different opinions, but in the end, they all agreed to pass the measure 6-0.
Today's decision is definitely about meeting a serious public need with compassion, with dignity, and fiscal discipline. You know, so that Fulton County can do what is right for its people and responsible for taxpayers at the same time.
We need to do something to make sure that we are housing people safely and humanely. And I think the special use facility makes sense, especially with 70% of the jail population having some sort of mental health issue. For the record, I'm adamantly against doing anything to the current Rice Street facility, renovating it. Anything other than demolishing it I'm adamantly opposed to. But this is a step in the right direction.
I'm supportive, but I do think the public needs to understand that this plan is not sufficient. We need either and a real investment in keeping people out of jail, and we need to house the people we have humanely for a long period of time. So I think there's still a lot of work to be done.
So there you have it. Now, ultimately, this massive plan covers about 3,100 beds, and those are if you have inmates in single form and not doubling up the bedding, 3,100 inmates. But they say they have the ability to expand beyond that. The new facility, though, the big drawback that I heard from a lot of people, it will not open until 2031. So that's just how long it's going to take to build this before the Fulton County Jail, which of course is grossly overcrowded, will get some type of relief. The other thing that we kept hearing, particularly from Commissioners Arrington and Barrett, is that they do not support renovating the current Rice Street Jail, which is a part of this plan today that they agreed on. There would be some $489 million going to renovating that building. But of course, that is further down the line. After this facility opens in 2031, then the renovations are to start on the Rice Street facility. And some commissioners even said there might be a whole slate of new leaders here in place by that time, and they might want to do something different. So we'll just have to wait and see. Tom?
Angelique, you know, the complexity behind, nobody knows better than you, the complexity behind the issues surrounding the Fulton County Jail, the complexities are vast. And so I just want to make sure I understand, you know, what they were voting on today. So this would be a new jail sort of annex or expansion to the current Fulton County Jail. That first, then the renovations to the current jail happen?
That is correct. This new facility, this special purpose facility, would be right next to the Rice Street Jail. In fact, they said on the south side of the property. It will take them until 2031 to construct it. It will have 1,800 beds inside, and then once they are finished with that, they will renovate Rice Street. It will have some 1,300 beds, and so the two facilities combined will take Fulton County up to about 3,100 inmates that we will be able to house. So ultimately hoping to address the overcrowding issue, but Commissioner Dana Barrett said she thought that 3,100 is not going to be enough if you take a look at the way things are tracking, and so that's why she said she was hopeful that the Rice Street Jail will actually be knocked down, and she feels like it's cheaper to build a new facility there from the ground up. So we'll just have to see, but at least the funding was approved for this.
Yeah, I'm almost certain it is, though I'm no county commissioner, and I don't really know what I'm talking about on the issue. But so I'm guessing, and not to beg the question, but that the commissioners see bed space a priority over renovating the current jail, because it would make more sense to me, again, what do I know, but that the current jail gets renovated first. I mean, we have so many problems there, and then a new jail gets built, but they're doing it the other way around, which again, I'm assuming they need more capacity first. That's the priority over this renovation.
You know, that current jail is just crumbling, and there's so many problems there that it's almost a clean break to build from the ground up first. And with them having such a large capacity in the new facility of 1,800 beds, they feel like that will be some relief. But again, we're not talking until 2031, so the overcrowding issues will continue in the coming years.
Interesting look behind the scenes there. Angelique Proctor. Angelique, thanks. Want to move on now to some other headlines making news on this Wednesday afternoon. The Georgia Supreme Court said to hear oral arguments next week following the massive chemical fire at the biolab facility in Conyers. The incident forced thousands of residents to evacuate for several weeks after chemical emissions sent chlorine levels soaring. Now people impacted by the blaze are asking the state's highest court to require biolab to pay for continuous medical monitoring. The company's facing a wave of legal trouble, including separate lawsuits filed by the Rockdale County Commission. Representatives for the residents say long-term monitoring is essential to track health problems, health complications tied to any exposure. Georgia's 14th district has a new voice in Washington today. Representative Clay Fuller, officially sworn into Congress by House Speaker Mike Johnson yesterday, actually. The runoff winner is filling the seat previously held by Marjorie Taylor Greene, who stepped down in January. During the ceremony, Fuller called himself a, quote, warrior for his constituents and signaled his immediate support for the Save America Act. That legislation would require proof of citizenship for voter registration. His arrival bolsters the Republican majority, leaving just one vacant seat remaining in the United States House of Representatives. Republicans are turning to a special budget process to reopen the Department of Homeland Security after a 2-month partial shutdown. House and Senate leaders want to use reconciliation to fast-track funding without concessions to Democrats. President Trump is pushing for a slimmed-down bill, but some conservatives are holding out to include new voter ID laws. Democrats call the move disgraceful, arguing it removes necessary accountability for border agents. The president has set a June 1st deadline to get the deal done. To Iran now, and the latest there as we mark just over 3 weeks since this conflict began. Will the United States enter into a ceasefire, or will this ceasefire that they've already been agreed upon last? President Trump says that the war with Iran is, quote, close to over, even as Democrats prepare for another war powers vote later today. With less than a week until the current ceasefire expires, there's still no formal agreement for an extension. The president believes a U.S. blockade of Iranian ports will force the regime to comply, but Tehran is now threatening to block all ship traffic in the Red Sea in retaliation. Meanwhile, the White House is pressuring China to stop sending weapons to the region. While China has criticized the U.S. blockade as irresponsible, the president says he expects a productive meeting with Xi Jinping in the coming weeks. Thousands of additional sailors and Marines remain en route to the Middle East as the U.S. maintains military options if those negotiations fail. So a lot happening at the White House today. Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, took to the podium to talk about not only the Iran conflict, but today is tax filing deadline day. So you better get them postmarked by midnight tonight. Here's what the press secretary had to say about that.
Good. Thank you, Caroline. I'm here to tell you that it has been a fantastic tax season. It has gone smoothly. It has gone efficiently from the point of view of the IRS, but most importantly, it's been a great tax season for the American people. Thanks to promises made, promises kept, through the Working Families Tax Cuts, the president has delivered the record refunds to the American people. More than 45% of the filers of the returns that we have seen have had at least one of the 4 president's signature policies. No tax and tips, no tax and overtime, the deductions for our great seniors, and the deductibility of interest on auto loans for American-made cars. And I will tell you that the biggest, one of those that Americans have taken is no tax and overtime. And it's the American way. If you want to work longer hours, you get to keep more of your money. And with that, we are seeing, I want to encourage everyone out there watching today to change their withholding if they haven't already done so. Because if you change your withholding, then you will get an automatic real wage increase on a weekly or a monthly basis, and you will be able to keep more of your money this calendar year. So with that, we have also seen with the Trump accounts, we have had 5 million families file for Trump accounts for their children. 1.2 million of those are eligible for the $1,000 seed bonus. So we look forward to that picking up more and more. For those of you who haven't done it, it's easy to remember, Form 4547. You can do it while you're filing your taxes. You can do it at any point during the year. We think this is going to be transformational in terms of financial literacy. This is Financial Literacy Month, and at Treasury and all over the administration, we are working with the American people, with American families, not only to give them more of their money, but to show them how to invest it in a safe, smart, and sound way. So with that, I will turn it over to Kelly.
Great. Thank you, Scott, and good afternoon, everyone. Excited to be here on Tax Day, important day for small business because small business and their employees have real relief thanks to President Trump's working family tax cuts. As administrator of the U.S. Small Business Administration, it is my great honor to serve our great president as the cabinet-level voice for America's 36 million small businesses. President Trump is right. Small business is big business. Indeed, they are a massive economic engine that creates 2/3 of all new jobs. They represent 99% of all businesses, and they drive about half of our GDP. The working family tax cuts are putting money back into the pockets of the hardest working Americans. That's why small business and their employees are benefiting the most. President Trump and congressional Republicans have saved Americans from a $4 trillion tax hike, including a staggering 20% tax increase on working families. It would have destroyed millions of jobs. Now, I've traveled the country from Maine to Alaska, and not a single worker, not a single small business asked to pay $1 more in taxes, yet every single congressional Democrat voted to raise taxes, not just on small businesses, on our workers, on our seniors, on hard-working families. Thankfully, Republicans united behind common sense policy of letting Americans, not Washington bureaucrats or fraudsters, keep more of what they earn. Now, so far, as you just heard, 12 million small businesses have an average tax saving of $7,000. The 20% small business pass-through deduction is now permanent, offering them certainty to plan for the future and the rocket fuel to create 1 million new jobs. Eric Williams at Prince Manufacturing in rural Georgia. He specializes in fabrication and machining. This year, he's reinvesting his tax savings to hire 500 new employees. The provisions for 100% expensing of equipment, expansion, and R&D are also growing production to help us reclaim industrial dominance. At Blue Patriot Fab, which I visited this week in Omaha, the owners highlighted one of their newest buildings, and they call it the Big Beautiful Building because the tax cuts helped them build it.
All right, Small Business Administrator Kelly Loeffler speaking there, in addition to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Today is tax filing deadline day. The Treasury Secretary suggesting adjusting your withholdings, just a suggestion, to keep more of your money as the tax rates from the Big Beautiful Bill have gone down. Americans getting a bigger refund this year, and perhaps next year would prefer to keep more of their money instead of paying it to the government and then getting the rebate at the end of the year. So some big news from those two cabinet secretaries today. A new study reveals the cost of raising kids is getting a whole lot more expensive. To age 18 hit $300,000. According to Lending Tree, parents are spending an average of $17,000 a year. That number jumps to nearly $30,000 during the first 5 years, driven largely by the soaring cost of daycare. Hawaii is the most expensive state in the nation, while New Hampshire and Washington, D.C. are the most affordable thanks to free preschool programs. The high price tag is forcing many families to reevaluate whether both parents can afford to stay in the workforce. As we continue here, meteorologist Alex Forbes is here to join us in just a second to talk about the remainder of our work week forecast, but plus what we can look forward to as we head into the weekend. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haynes, joined by meteorologist Alex Forbes, who's been tracking our weather this week for us. Alex, looks like the hottest day of the week so far. Unlike, yesterday, I feel like today you can really feel the heat out there. It's hot outside.
There's a little more humidity in the air than we've seen days previous. It's 82 in Atlanta right now, and I still keep pointing out that it's only 3 in the afternoon, and a lot of people have this notion that this is kind of when that high temperature
like
happens.
It peaks, right?
Right. Well, in December, yes, but it's April. So that happens actually later in the day. Look at Eatonton already to 88, 84 in Covington, 82 in Newnan, and the numbers continue to climb under the sunshine. I expect Atlanta to hit 88 before all is said and done. Our record high is 87, so here we come. 86 in Canton, 84 in Blairsville, 86 over in Dalton, 86 in Gainesville, and a pair of 8s over in Athens. So that 88 today is obviously warm. It's record breaking. 87 is that record, and that's where we're going to be for the next several days, including on Friday, where we are expected to hit 90 degrees. All right, and if you're thinking it's a little early for that, you would be right. In fact, we've never done it this early. Not only is it a little early, it's a lot early here for Metro Atlanta. Look at Saturday. Still warm, 89 there, and then it's like the bottom falls out by the time we get to Sunday. So whenever you see a temperature swing like that, it's about 15 degrees in the month of April, 9 times out of 10, that means severe weather. Well, this is the 1 time out of 10 that it does not. We do have the clashing of air masses, but we don't have that moisture for showers and storms to work with here in Metro Atlanta. So that's the one saving grace in all of this. If we were to get rain out of this weekend's front, it probably would have been in the form of severe storms. So just be glad that we don't have that. All right, this is the first 90-degree day in Atlanta, April 23rd, 1980. That's the earliest. Average is May 31st. So Friday's temperatures, really the temperatures over the next couple of days, are more like late May and early June rather than mid-April, where we are now. Today's April 15th, tax day, right? It's not very tax day-like to have 90-degree heat in Georgia. One thing we do need, we've been talking about it, and we're going to continue to talk about it, is rain. There are your chances today. Nothing. Goose eggs. And honestly, that Sunday rain chance is not all that much. That's a cold front coming through, a 20% chance of rain there. And that, Tom, I think is kind of generous, right? The rain chance is probably a little lower than that. That's just me being a little optimistic. But I am very confident in the cooler temperatures. 74 for Sunday, 73 on Monday, 75 on Tuesday. That is in stark comparison to what we've got here over the next couple of days. And then one more way to look at this, all right? You ready for this? 90 degrees Friday afternoon when the kids get off the bus. When they get on the bus Monday morning, 48.
Wow, so the gyrations in temperatures continue.
Yes.
But what doesn't gyrate are our chances of rain.
Nope. I guess a little bit. You get like a false start on Sunday.
Yeah, but that was 30% yesterday, if I remember correctly.
It was. Yep.
So it seems to be going down.
Yeah, it's that lack of moisture. A lot of our modeling brings the remnant rain, if you will, across the Alabama state line and just kills it. So maybe if you're in northwest Georgia, up near Rome, Chickamauga, up into the Chattanooga area, maybe your rain chance is 30-40%. But for Metro Atlanta, like I said, that 20% is a little generous.
You guys, I don't know if you have the capability of doing this. We all think you're magical and majestic people because you can look into your crystal balls and talk about what's going to happen later. But do any sort of long-term forecast models indicate moisture and rain headed our way?
Watch this. You ready for this? All right, so I've got a 90-day precip outlook, 90-day rain outlook.
I like this kind of stuff.
On demand. And it does have us slightly wetter than average. Oops. But
well, that would be good.
Yeah, it would be, but this is our wettest time of year. So if we are slightly wetter than average from a drought perspective, that actually is us treading water. We don't need a slightly wetter than average. We need a way above average 3 months. We need 20 inches of rain in the next 3 months to put it into the drought. That's not what this is necessarily. It keeps us about steady, if not improves it just slightly.
All right, well, we'll take it where we can get it. Right, Alex?
Yep.
All right, Alex, thanks. Want to talk about some big economic news in the form of an airline merger, or at least the possibility of one. 2 of the world's largest airlines may merge. We're talking about United and American Airlines are reportedly considering a merger that would create a $45 billion aviation giant. Not necessarily the best news for consumers, because airline mergers generally lead to higher airfares and less competition, fewer flight choices, things like that. So if approved, the deal would reduce the nation's, quote, Big Four carriers to Big Three, giving the new airline control of 40% of the domestic market. Consumer groups warn that the move would lead to higher fares, fewer direct flights, and reduced services at major hubs. Economists say that the proposal would likely face fierce legal challenges from state attorneys general worried about potential monopolies. However, analysts suggest that the merger could force the new carriers to give up routes, potentially helping smaller airlines expand. Well, Atlanta is gearing up for a major cultural partnership ahead of the FIFA World Cup. So many great things coming to our city ahead of the big games. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Welcome back here to the 3 p.m. streaming hour. I'm Tom Haynes with you live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, bringing you up to date on all the big stories happening on this Wednesday afternoon. Atlanta gearing up for a major cultural push ahead of the FIFA World Cup this summer. The Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs unveiling plans for 8 signature events spanning live music, film, and art. Let's get out to our Tyler Fingert live in Atlanta with the details. Tyler, what more do we know about this new initiative?
Yeah, Tom, good afternoon to you. Just a short while ago, a news conference just wrapped up. If you are familiar, we're in the old and former CNN Center, which is currently being redeveloped. The name is Center. That is what they're calling it, the Center. And basically, it's the same building, but they're redeveloping it. Long gone are the days of CNN broadcasts and newsrooms here in downtown Atlanta. That's moved up to the Midtown area, Techwood. You can actually take a look. This is, we're on the 8th floor right now of this building. This is a blank slate. This kind of suite we're in. It's about 23,000 square feet. It's going to be able to hold about 2,000 people. They say it's going to be less than that. They don't want it to be crowded. But blank slate right now. And this is going to be basically the cultural hub of the World Cup, because when the World comes here, they want to make sure that the city can be really put on full display and people can see what really defines a city, which is its culture. And that's exactly what ATL Culture House is designed to do. We're inside that former CNN Center, as I mentioned. mentioned, the space on the 8th floor will be transformed into a gathering place for creatives, which the city of Atlanta will call ATL Culture House or Atlanta Culture House, a new cultural hub. Officials say this space will serve as a home for creativity, bringing together artists, performers, and storytellers from Atlanta. As we pan around, you can see they're just wrapping up from that news conference that was just held here. Officials say that this is going to be a fantastic experience for everyone who comes on out. The experience will run during the World Cup window from June 14th through July 14th with 8 major activation days. Those activations will feature everything from live music and fashion to film, art exhibits, and cultural conversations, they say, all under one roof. The space itself, as I mentioned, more than 23,000 square feet, will include performance stages and art installations. There's also going to be a marketplace component with a basically a chance for people to connect with local businesses with a local global audience. And city leaders say this is also an open invitation. That's what they're offering people right now, with hundreds of local artists already applying for a chance to be part of the experience. And while visitors may come for the matches, officials say this is all about making sure they leave with a full Atlanta experience, from food and music to neighborhoods and culture. Take a listen to what the mayor had to say.
I was a student at Georgia Tech in 1996 when the Olympics were here. And you didn't know all that was going on, but I remember that the highways were empty and people said, I'm leaving the town. I'm leaving the city, I'm renting my house out, or I'm gonna get out of here because it's gonna be all these folks from around the world. I don't want y'all to do that. I want you to enjoy Atlanta while others enjoy Atlanta. I want you to be here for this moment in time. This once in a generation, maybe once in a lifetime, that the World Cup is going to be coming to our city and we're going to be hosting folks. So don't just leave. So we got days of activities. It's going to be right here. It's going to be a fan fest. It's going to be opportunities all across the city of Atlanta. You're going to be able to, your small business will be able to, serve these visitors, but also local folks need to see your restaurant because they're going to be the customer in August. Yes. When all these visitors are gone, you still want somebody to know that you had a good product and service. And Showcase is going to help with that. Culture House is helping with that. We're going to be in Atlanta before the World Cup and after the World Cup. So a lot of this stuff is for us.
And city leaders say this will be a free experience up here on the 8th floor. They're going to have security and everything to make sure it's safe and all of that. Their big goal, though, with it being free, they say that, though, people will have to register ahead of time so they can kind of control just the number of people who are going to be here on these 8 different days. And they're super excited for this. They say it's going to cost the city about $500,000. There's obviously a lot of other investments, people donating, including, I believe, Amazon is also a partner of this, and different agencies, including the center, who the people behind this place are also contributing a lot. They say that $500,000 of taxpayer money, though, is going to pay dividends for years to come, because their ultimate goal is to show off Atlanta so people want to come back even after that last match. Tom?
Tyler, I spent 6 years of my career in that building working at CNN when it was a huge presence at CNN Center. Now Center is going to move forward. So at the Center, it's still the kind of the food court downstairs in the main lobby area. And is the 8th floor where you're at sort of the only floor involved in this cultural push by Atlanta?
So yeah, to answer your question, they're redeveloping pretty much the entire the center complex here. The food court, I believe, is currently closed. They're in the process of redeveloping that currently. That's going to be opening soon. During the news conference, one of the people in charge of the redevelopment had said that they're actually going to have the largest bar in Atlanta down in the center in that food court area, but specifically for Atlanta Cultural House. Yes, 8th floor, this 23,000 square feet or so space, which is currently a blank canvas that they are going to be turning into something great, they say. 8th floor, and then obviously other parts of the building still being redeveloped. I'll tell you, we were looking through the window a moment ago. I'll pan over that window over there. You can obviously see the hotel rooms off in the distance, but then if you look down a little bit, you can actually see the old CNN newsrooms. There's still desks and things like that are still around here, even though they moved out more than a year ago.
Yeah, and not that I expect you to expand on this, but it's just a thought on my part. Like, I'm surprised that property where you're standing is so valuable. I'm a little surprised that they didn't raise that building and build like a big, huge hotel there or something, but I guess investors see value in keeping the structure itself and, as you say, kind of just renovating it and making use of what's there.
Yeah, they talked about this being a mixed-use development and really being able to show off Atlanta. As you mentioned, obviously, this is a fantastic area. We're right next to State Farm Arena. We're right next to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We're right next to Centennial Olympic Park. Really, the question is, what aren't we next to here? So they say clearly that they are finding a lot of value in what is here and just retransforming it and reimagining it from what was a television broadcast each and every day on CNN to now something like what they're transforming this into, where it can be a place for arts and culture. That's really what that partner from that redevelopment company was talking about.
All right, good info. Tyler Fingert live at the old CNN Center, now known as simply Center. Tyler, thanks. As we move along here, a brave canine getting some well-deserved recognition today after taking down a robbery suspect in Gwinnett County. What a story this is. Regions Bank honoring canine Robbie, who was struck by a car during a pursuit, but just kept going until that suspect was in custody. Let's get out to our Eli Jordan live. Eli, more on this hero's recovery this afternoon. Eli?
Hey, Tom. Yeah, Robbie, the dog, the canine dog, he didn't care about the car. He just kept on pursuing that robbery suspect from the Regions Bank robbery back on February 11th here in Newnan. Now imagine you rob a bank, you get apprehended by a dog, and you get taken to jail, and while you're still sitting in this jail, they come and honor the dog that caught you right here at the same jail. And I got some video earlier today of the Regions Bank brought Robbie a personalized bed, a bunch of treats, some toys, and Robbie was very appreciative. He's recovered well. He's back on duty, actually. And I spoke with his handler and also with the Regions Bank. Here's what they had to say about it all. Robbie seems quite dedicated to his job. Does he inspire you?
Oh, yes. He makes me want to get him out every day. I go to work. I'm just the driver. He's the brains of the operation. I go to work every day trying to figure out how we can get him out of the car and get him invested into the job, and he's the biggest asset in that car. So I do my best to try and make sure that every day I go to work, I find something for him to do.
Tell me real quick, what kind of dog is Robbie? Just, you can take him home, right?
Yes, sir. So he's a Belgian Malinois. He's about 4 years old. He's from Poland. I'm his third handler, but a lot of time and effort has been put into Robbie's work and his craft, and he is very dedicated to working every day.
Is Robbie a good dog?
He is. He makes life really easy. When we're not at work, we don't like to think of him as such, but when we're not at work, he really is just another dog.
What was the bank's reaction when they found out canine dog, dog, apprehended the suspect? I mean, it kind of makes it extra special, like, hey, man's best friend, help out.
It does make it extra special, and I think that the community in itself made it even more special. They have wrapped their arms around the associates at the branch, and we, again, are just so thankful for Canine Robbie and Hunter, his handler, and all that they did.
Robbie, he's just doing his job, but a lot of people were extremely appreciative for him doing his job and also maintaining pursuit after getting hit by the car. Robbie is definitely a good dog, but he's not a cheap dog. It cost the department just over $20,000 to get a dog like Robbie. Now, Robbie knows how to apprehend suspects, knows how to sniff out drugs and a few other things. So he's an all-around canine for the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Department here, but he is recovered. He's back on duty, and people are appreciative, and he's getting a little bit more notoriety today with the honoring from Regions Bank, thanking him for apprehending the suspect despite being hit by the car. But Robbie's still good to go, and the suspect still sits right here in jail awaiting a trial. Tom?
Well, that's good to hear, and it looks like Hunter and Robbie have a special bond, a special relationship. And that was my question, really, is if Robbie is going to go out on the front lines again, will his duties, given the fact that he's a recovering canine, be modified at all, or will he be full force out there?
No, he's full force. He looks good. He didn't sustain too many injuries at all. Probably more scared him, but I don't think he gets scared very easily. He just stayed focused on his job, and he just probably saw that as just another day at the office. Getting bumped by a car, and even though it's a big issue, but he was like, hey, I'm cool. He got a week off work for it, and he's recovered. He's back on duty, full strength, ready to apprehend more suspects.
Did you see the size of that muzzle, Eli, on Robbie's face?
I did, yeah.
When you were talking, I mean, that thing,
I know.
That was some pretty serious stuff.
It's got Hannibal Lecter in a way, but
right.
Those dogs, they're serious. I mean, they're not play dogs. They don't, they're not affectionate. They can be affectionate, but maybe with their handler. So you got to be protective of other people because Robbie, he's on. If he smells something, he's on, and they just want to be extra cautious, not to let him, get a little bit too aggressive in his job skills and maybe go after somebody he thinks is a suspect, but that isn't. But most canine dogs do wear their muzzles as they're just out meeting the public and things like that, just for safety purposes. But he's a good dog. He apprehended the suspect. He had his muzzle off earlier, and he was just fine. But they put it back on when they were taking the pictures and all that because that's how he normally is when he's out and about in public.
And this may be an unfair question. Maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't. But what is Regions Bank connection to, funding and supporting this process?
Well, I mean, they got robbed. It was their bank that was robbed, and so they just felt it was good to give back, show of thanks for getting the suspect into custody and hold him responsible for his actions there at the bank. And so, I might do the same if Robbie helped me out, apprehending a suspect if someone broke into my house. I'd be like, hey, Robbie, I'm going to be getting you a steak. Here we go. Thank you very much.
Good stuff. Eli Jordan. Yeah, what were you going to say? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Robbie's probably being nicer to a suspect than I would be if someone broke into my house. That's
I don't know about that, given the size of that muzzle.
Well, he's not wearing a muzzle when he goes after suspects.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't look like he'd be very kind to any suspect that's on the run.
No, I'm just going to leave it at that.
I know. Thanks, Eli. Appreciate it. A lot more still to come as we continue here. We're going to tour a great manufacturing plant in Bremen where some jobs are available. Leave it to our Chris Rosenthal, who's always on the hunt for good and worthy, high-paying jobs for folks out there. Eli's going to join us on the other side of this break. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour. Certainly happy you're with us this afternoon. If you're streaming on our Fox Local mobile app on your mobile device, we welcome you to the 3 p.m. streaming hour. Or if you're watching on one of your live channels at home, we're certainly glad you're with us this afternoon as well on one of our social media platforms at Fox 5 Atlanta, where we read through all of your comments and answer your questions as we go along. Or if you happen to be on the radio with us today, 107.9 HD2 FM. We're certainly glad you are here as well. A Bremen business defying the trend of sending jobs overseas by expanding right here in Atlanta. Southwestern Hose has opened a new high-tech manufacturing facility packed with advanced robotics. Our Chris Rosenthal is in Bremen this afternoon with a look at this growing family-owned operation.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm at Southeastern Hose here in Bremen, Georgia. This company, family-owned company, has been here since 1963, manufacturing a variety of hoses here. We're not just talking about lawn hoses. I'll just kind of give you a look here. Various industrial hoses for lots of industrial applications. But business is so good, they have had to expand their space. They're up to 100,000 square feet with this new 40,000 square foot addition to their facility, and lots of workers here. They're back from lunch working here, but I'm joined by Trey Travis here. He is one of the owners, one of the family members here of this family-run business. And tell me a little bit, first of all, about the hoses here. We're not just talking about lawn hoses here, huh?
No, it's pretty much any industrial market that you can think of. We're in some form or fashion. Pulp and paper, steel, chemical, oil and gas are some of the more common that people realize, and then some of the newer ones, data center, battery plants for the automated cars and things like that, or electric vehicles, and so anywhere fluid's moving in the commercial world, I'm there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, data centers now, I mean, you kind of go with whatever's being constructed, but data centers are a big one for you now, huh?
That's right. Yeah, it's a domino effect, though. The data center infrastructure build that they're pushing right now kind of dominoes all the way to the other industries that we the steel mills busting at the gills because they're building them. The pulp and paper is doing some of the outfit on the inside, so the plywood that they use to build some of these things, and it's just the infrastructure build happening right now in the U.S. is not that old, but I would imagine it's one of the most robust infrastructure builds we've ever had from an industrial standpoint.
And business is good. Business is so good. You've had to expand here. Tell me about that. How's business going?
We have. So in 2020, when I took over ownership of my portion, I'm a partner with my brother and my dad. And when we took over ownership, COVID hit, and COVID was it consolidated our market a lot. It's a very nuanced product, so it's hard to build. So it consolidated our market a good bit. And so that was the start of it. And so what we're standing in, this expansion, was because of that. And then while we were building with this expansion, the data center world hit and the domino effect beyond it. And so we're already busting at the seams in the addition, the 40,000 square foot addition. We wish we'd have built 80.
Wow. And of course, jobs. You guys employ about 130 people. Talk to me about that. You're keeping the jobs local here.
That's right. Yeah, we've got a great, robust relationship with all of our local high schools and tech schools to get us a good pipeline of quality workers. And then we hire word of mouth locally. We've got some great guys here. As soon as they find out that we're hiring, we usually have a plethora of resumes. And we believe in keeping it local. That's what I was born and raised here. I went to high school half a mile from here, middle school half a mile from here. I lived my whole life 4 miles from here. And so we believe in local. We believe in keeping it local, growing our economy, partnering with the local economy to grow as a whole. And our workforce over the last 4 to 5 years has grown almost doubled due to some of the growth that we've experienced.
And these are a lot of skilled labor jobs. We hear about the shortages. What are you seeing, and what do you need?
So for us, the good thing about me being such a nuanced product, I can basically train anybody to be a welder on my product. Now, if I teach you here and you've never had any other welding experience, you're going to struggle elsewhere because of my product so nuanced. But welders is the biggest shortage we got. You can't, and it's not just us. It's the industry as a whole. You can't. hire enough welders. And so that's our skill trade that we're looking for. But from my understanding, the HVAC world, the electrical world is the same deal.
Good paying jobs too, huh?
Great paying jobs. Yep, good paying jobs here, and the work-life balance that you get is fantastic.
And, a lot of people are worried about AI. I mean, these jobs maybe a little bit insulated from that, huh?
It's going to be hard to replace a lot of these jobs with AI because of some of the, again, the nuance of the product. We're one big job shop, so we are what most consider a manufacturer, but this is a single job, and my order bookings range from one small, tiny assembly to thousands, and so that's hard to automate. We are implementing AI and helping us manage our product flow and things like that, and some of our sales volumes. But as far as AI taking over these particular jobs, we're at least a long way away.
Well, Trey Travis, thanks for joining us here at Southeastern Hose. Again, this is big new 40,000 square foot facility, growing manufacturing business here in West Georgia. Back to you.
All right, Chris, thanks, and thank you for joining us for the 3 p.m. streaming hour. I'm Tom Haynes. The news continues right now.